que salta del cómic.
He thought he was in control. How wrong he was.
Hey, what's up? It's Shane with Dynamis Media, and I'm joined here with Stefan.
That's me.
And you are tuning into the Dark Side Drive-In, which is our horror-themed podcast where we kind of go through our thoughts on movies from the 80s, sometimes 90s, and sometimes 70s. And we've got a pretty big one today. I don't know. I usually say banger. I enjoy it, but I don't know. You'll have to wait till the end to hear what our thoughts are. But I know everybody is just dying to know what the trivia question answer is. So the question from last week was, in which 1965 movie are 5 horror stories linked by the mysterious Dr. Schreck, played by Peter Cushing? And the answer is Dr. Terror's House of Horror.
You know, if Peter Cushing had been playing a character named Dr. Terror and not a character named Dr. Schreck, I might have had a better chance of getting that. I still probably wouldn't have, but...
Yeah, that's fair. Like, some of these questions are really obscure. But, so, this time, we'll come up with a really cool, interesting title for a game show. We're going to play Name That Movie.
Ooh.
So, this game...
Wait, what the hell was that other one then? You guys a question.
It's just trivia.
The movie. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
This one's same kind of idea, though.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, no, yeah.
So,
sorry, I'm stepping on your toes already. You're just trying to get this thing off the ground. Let's go.
You're good. So how this works is I'm going to say a quote, and you have to tell me which movie it's from.
All right, I think I get it.
Okay. You ready?
I'm the readiest I've ever been.
Where we're going, you won't need eyes.
Is there like a time period that it's from, or is it from any time period?
90s.
Event Horizon?
So your guess was Event Horizon. We're going to post the question on the old Facebook group. And
you know why I guessed Event Horizon?
Why is that?
Because Jurassic Park's Sam Neill takes out his eyes.
Oh, Well, folks, if you agree with Stefan, let us know.
If it's not that, then it's The Phantom with Billy Zane, where someone also gets his eyes stabbed out.
If you think it's buckets of blood, just let us know, and then we'll keep moving.
It was never buckets of blood, and I've already apologized for this. Like, it was a bucket of blood, and it also
a single bucket.
It was just one, and it wasn't even an anthology movie. Everything was wrong. I did everything wrongly. So
wrongly.
Yeah, but I'm pretty confident in myself this time, because I used to, in college, watch Event Horizon a lot because we had a fraternity brother that was really like super like that movie. It was one of his I feel like it was one of his favorite movies, or he just showed it to us a lot.
Yeah, I've seen it like 7 times in a span of 2 years, so it's kind of weird. I love the movie though, so
it has Lawrence Fishburne in it.
It's great. It's a great movie.
All right, so, well, hopefully I'm right, or the fact that we spent a lot of time talking about it will look stupid.
Yeah, we'll see. Some of these are like pretty like softball questions. Like the one trivia question. Here, I'll read it. We're never gonna do this because this is a dumb question. What is the name of the demonic clown in the It movies?
Pennywise?
Yeah, so it's like, okay, like, all right. What do we?
I was like, I think I do a trick question, like what his real name is, because we never know what his
children. Tim Curry is his real name.
No, Tim Curry's an actor.
Is he?
What?
What?
Oh no, let me check my notes.
So
I didn't take notes on that.
Oh shit. So just some quick housekeeping. We're still rocking and rolling. AGB's going strong on streaming. I think Sir Cheddarworth's Roundtable should have something soon. And we are also kind of piloting something new that'll come out at the beginning of next year. So stay tuned. I don't know if you have any housekeeping you wanted to get into, but if not, I think we've got a really solid movie to get into coming up here. So what do you think? You want to just dive into it?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out if there's actually any housekeeping that I was supposed
Oh,
to say, but I don't think
okay.
there was. But I am actually I am writing another review. I skipped
Uh-oh.
over the other two, and now I'm writing one about Suitable Flesh because I just rented that and it was super good. So watch out, skipping over the other two reviews to do this review.
Yep. So you can find that on our website, dynamusmedia.com, where you can also subscribe to it.
Stop talking about the subscription thing and you don't know what it does. It might just send people a bunch of like illicit like links to their email or something. We don't know.
It's all going to be movies from that guy from Demon Wind. What was the blonde haired guy that's like the douchebag?
Oh yeah, what was that guy's name?
Anyways, it'll be all his
Well,
movies.
Dell was the name of his character, but
Yeah, I don't know his real name.
Yeah, the name of the actor I can't remember. But yeah, Dell was
Yeah.
the character. He just sends you an email and says, "That's why I keep you around."
That's why I keep you guys around. That's going to be the newsletter.
Oh no.
That's why we keep you guys around. But yeah, so we're getting into Maximum Overdrive today. Stephen King's directorial debut and final foray into the
first
director.
and last time in the director's chair for Mr. Stephen King.
I'm pretty excited for the cast and crew because there are some people in here that because I've seen this movie, but I never really like looked into it. I just watched it. There are some people in here that are super famous now.
There are.
Yeah. So why don't you kick us off?
Why don't I? But before I do that, I want to mention, I think last time I might have said that this movie came out in 1987, and I hope I didn't, but I didn't go back and listen to the episode to find out. It came out in 86, but it takes place in 87. It's one of those like in the not too distant future kind of things.
Yeah.
So yeah, if I made that mistake, whoops, my bad. And to prove how much of a fan I am of Maximum Overdrive, I'm wearing my Maximum Overdrive t-shirt, even though we're an entirely audio medium. It's on, and no one can say it isn't. So there you go.
Yeah, I'm wearing mine too.
You don't have one. You're a liar. You're the lyingest person. You don't have a Maximum Overdrive t-shirt. I know you don't, because you would have showed it to me.
Yeah, so my Maximum Overdrive t-shirt is the truck with the green head on it.
The Green Goblin head?
Yeah.
Text me a picture of it if this is true. If you have one,
All right,
I need to see it.
I'll text you. Hold on.
You're just going to text me a stock image of one you find online.
Yeah,
I know your game.
I'll send the picture. Hold on.
Seems like a good use of our time in this purely audio medium.
Audience. Just hang in there, audience. This will be worth it.
Well, will it be?
Let me know when it goes through.
Clearly, I'll let you know. Oh, there we go. What is it? Oh, you bastard. It's that. God damn you. Now you pretty much have to cut this whole thing out. Why would you... there's... If you keep this in for some reason, there's a picture that Shane texted me, and he keeps making everyone else text me, and it's gross. It's a gross picture of the United States where it makes Florida look like genitalia. And he keeps sending it to me, and he keeps having everyone else send it to me.
Shout out to our Florida listeners.
Yeah, they're the phallus. That's what they are.
Anyways, no, I do not have a Maximum Overdrive t-shirt.
Yeah, well, clearly. This is all a ruse to embarrass me on live TV.
It worked.
Anyhow, as we said in the opening, the director, but also the writer, is Stephen King. Maybe you've heard of him. Maybe you've heard of one of the most prolific authors in like currently alive. Probably second only to what, like James Patterson or something, who I'm actually convinced is a pseudonym used by numerous other like writers, and then they just like put their name next to his. When it says James Patterson and someone else, it's actually them.
Yeah, but I think Stephen King probably is the most prolific.
He writes a lot, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is actually also based off of a short story called Trucks, which I believe was a story in what was it, Night Shift, right? The short story collection that I've brought up before.
Yeah. And folks, if you are watching Maximum Overdrive, the name Trucks makes way more sense.
Yeah, it's like mostly trucks. And also there was a pseudo remake, like I guess readaptation of that story actually called Trucks,
Mhm.
which played on Tubi immediately after Maximum Overdrive was over. And it was released in 97, I want to say, 97, 98, something like that. And let me tell you, not as good. And that's saying something because this movie isn't exactly an award winner. But man, it just like did not nail the tone at all. I feel like this one at least has a tone that is uniquely Stephen King. And this is one of those things like where I'll like try to explain it while we go through the plot description and everything. But it's like, how do I explain what it is that's so Stephen King about this to somebody who doesn't read Stephen King?
I can explain it visually, but we can get there later.
Sure, fair enough. Yeah, so basically I'm gonna forego going through his bibliography since it's massive.
Yeah, that's a whole
like
show.
yeah, like literally I think there's like 341 like writing credits on IMDb. Almost all of them are story by or novel by, like
Right.
from, so he has a lot of credits. I focused up on some of the screenplay ones that he had because again, he never directed anything else after this. He had Creep Show, The Dead Zone, which was a Cronenberg film, kind of underrated. Cat's Eye, Silver Bullet. He did an episode of Tales from the Dark Side, so I have to bring that up every time it happens. Pet Cemetery, Sleepwalkers, The Stand, the Mick Garris miniseries from '94, I want to say. Storm of the Century, Under the Dome, Lisey's Story, those sorts of things. And unlike, a lot of the writers we get here, he's also got like a lot of acting appearances, usually in like quick one-offs. But some of the more notable ones there, like George Romero's Night Riders, Creep Show, where he played actually a character in an entire segment. Creep Show 2, he had a brief appearance. Pet Cemetery, Sleepwalkers, The Stand. A lot of these adaptations. Langoliers, Thinner. He's in episodes of Frasier, The Simpsons, and Sons of Anarchy. Sometimes his characters, in the case of The Simpsons, as himself. And the most recent credit I think I saw for him was like in It Chapter 2. And I don't remember who he was, but he apparently had a brief appearance in that. He likes to do cameo appearances in his stuff. So
Yeah, like wasn't he like a janitor or something?
yeah, it was something like that. Like something that's not exactly like, he doesn't like to like really stand out.
Yeah.
So I think probably the one that he had like the biggest role besides Creep Show was in The Stand. Like he actually played a truck driver, a character who's a truck driver that was like kind of like The Stand has so many characters in it, like if you've ever read it. So it's like literally not one of like the S tier characters, the main characters, but then there's like supporting characters throughout. And he was like one of the, named and noteworthy supporting characters that had like a chapter in the book. Which again isn't saying much because that book's like 1,300 pages or something. It's massive.
Yeah, it's unreal.
Yeah, but anyways, moving on. I'm actually going to talk about a producer for once. I usually don't get into producers because it's hard to tell sometimes how involved they really are. But in this case, it's very important because it's Dino De Laurentiis. And the reason I bring it up is because number one, this is supposed to be the part of a 3-picture deal that Stephen King had with De Laurentiis' production company. Obviously, that never happened, and Dino De Laurentiis clearly didn't push the issue. But at the same time, there's like a story that I've seen in multiple cases. Like I've seen multiple corroborating details to this. So apparently, Stephen King, being a huge fan of Sam Raimi's Evil Dead, brought up to Dino De Laurentiis that Sam Raimi was having a hard time getting funding to do Evil Dead 2, which, as we all know, Evil Dead 1 was great, but it was like very much had like this like a work in progress or a student film feel. It was very much a first film, low budget, and they're having trouble funding to do a sequel. So Evil Dead 2 happened because De Laurentiis, he didn't have a producer role in the film, but he did help secure financing for it at Stephen King's insistence. So because even though Maximum Overdrive, just, not trying to say anything here because like many of us love it, but not exactly a success story. But without it, we wouldn't have the enduring legacy of the Evil Dead series. It's continued to this year with like Evil Dead Rise. So that wouldn't have become like the franchise that it is if it weren't for Stephen King talking up to Dino De Laurentiis.
Thank you, Stephen King.
Thank you, Stephen King. And also for other books and things you've done. And also this. Dino De Laurentiis, though, he has like some pretty cool genre film productions. The 1976 King Kong, the one with the dude in it, right? That's the one with Jeff Bridges.
Mhm.
Orca, the Jaws ripoff featuring an orca. Flash Gordon, Halloween 2, Conan the Barbarian. Amityville 2, The Possession, Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, which people who listened to the last episode know I love it because Tom Atkins. The Dead Zone, Firestarter, Dune, Silver Bullet. You see a lot of crossover with Stephen King properties there. Leviathan, sometimes they come back. Army of Darkness. He has more than that. I really just picked the ones that were interesting to me. So there you go, Dino De Laurentiis. Thank you for giving us this movie, even though I don't think you recouped your money on it, but you recouped our heart. Next up is music. It says here it's a band called AC/DC.
Never heard of them.
Yeah, so it's an AC/DC soundtrack.
It's an AC/DC joint.
Yeah, truly. So there's like a story about how Stephen King apparently like sang one of their songs in its entirety in order to try to convince them to do the music for this movie. So not just like newer versions or versions of like songs they've already written or new songs that they've written, but also there's a few instrumentals throughout. And he convinced them to do it. And let me tell you, they have something like 241 soundtrack credits in their IMDb, but they only have one other composer credit besides Maximum Overdrive, and that's AC/DC Live at River Plate.
Yeah, it was their own. It was their own.
It was their own
production.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So for whatever reason, they decided that they didn't want to do composing of soundtracks anymore, which is too bad.
It's like AC/DC is AC/DC.
So yeah, there you go. There is a rumor apparently that they had a cameo in this movie as well, but that is false. They did not.
They did. They were the one truck.
That was a truck with it on it. That wasn't them.
No, that was them, I think, in spirit.
But not in body, which is the thing that matters.
They could have been in the truck.
Well, Stephen King asked them if they wanted to do a cameo, and they apparently told him no, we're not actors. So they just did the soundtrack instead. Yeah.
Great fucking call, guys.
Well, yeah, but here's the thing. Like the album that basically is the soundtrack to this. So it has Who Made Who, which is like a new song for this. And then it has a few instrumentals. And then it has some, I don't know if they're remixes or just like new versions of some of their hits. I think those are about, for those who are about to rock, We Salute You. And then You Shook Me All Night Long. They were actually released. Hell's Bells. Yes, Hell's Bells was there. And that was released as a separate album that was just called Who Made Who. It was originally pressed as a soundtrack to this, but because the movie wasn't that successful, they ended up just calling it Who Made Who and released it as a standalone album. So there's a lot of confusion among people about like what that album really is. It's like, I'm here to tell you, it was originally supposed to be the soundtrack to this, and the movie didn't do well enough that they believed they'd be able to sell it that way. So they opted to release it as a separate album.
And they made a pretty good music video for this too.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, the song rules, and also the movie rules, but yeah, the song rules. And I actually, I think I borrowed it from a family member. I don't know if I ever returned it, but I did borrow the Who Made Who album from a family member. So hopefully I returned it. If not, oopsies. So there you go. Music by AC/DC. Next up is the cast, starting with Bill Robinson, as played by Emilio Estevez. Emilio Estevez, probably best known for that really long, kind of awkward joke in Night at the Roxbury.
Oh my God. That's good.
That was the thing that was the joke. Yeah, before we recorded, I told you.
That's good. That's fucking good. That's good.
But no, obviously not. The Outsiders, Breakfast Club, Young Guns 2, the Mighty Ducks, like every Mighty Ducks, including, I guess there was a recent like revival series. He was in that, as Coach Bombay.
He got kicked out of that.
Did he?
Yeah, he wouldn't. It was a COVID related. He didn't want to get vaccinated or something.
Oh, well, bummer.
Yeah, but his wasn't like, it wasn't so much he was anti-vax. I think he like got it and was like, I don't need to get it because I just had it. It was weird. So Disney was like, you know what? We're going to get Timothy Oliphant's twin brother, Josh Duhamel, and everything will be great. So.
Is that what they did? Is that what happened with that?
Yeah,
I've never seen it,
literally.
so I didn't know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, well, cool. Well, there you go, Mighty Ducks. Mission Impossible, Arthur and the Invisibles. He has some more. He had some directorial efforts that he was also a star in, but I'd never heard of them, so I didn't bother writing them down because we have a lot of casts to go through.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of hockey left. We're moving on. Emilio Estevez, maybe you've heard of him. Wasn't in Platoon.
That's definitely not his brother.
So yeah, it's his brother.
I feel like people know that, right?
No, they do. Yeah.
Okay. So
because what Martin Sheen's real name is Ramon Estevez.
Yep.
And Emilio Estevez wanted to make it without the Sheen name, so he kept, Emilio Estevez. But then Charlie Sheen took the Sheen name to kind of like align
doesn't
himself.
Give a fuck. He's like,
yeah, he wanted to align himself.
Tiger blood.
Yeah, well, he's got a lot of other stuff going on, but yeah, there you go. That was it. Anyhow, yeah, this has been Emilio Estevez. Next up is Brett, as played by Laura Harrington. Not a lot of notable credits. The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension, a couple episodes of Quantum Leap, What's Eating Gilbert Grape, The Devil's Advocate, which you'd brought up. The Devil's Advocate is something that you might want to do for the podcast, which I'm not sure if that fits the theme, but maybe one day we can get there.
Yeah, it's late 90s, but it's a good movie. It's good.
It's a good movie for sure. Polly. Speaking of The Devil's Advocate, Polly.
Yeah.
The heartwarming story about a parrot.
Yeah.
And then her most recent credit was a 1999 episode of Providence. So she's been inactive for some time. She also has some writing credits too, but again, we have a lot of people to go through. Can't cover everything.
She's living off that Polly money, so she's fine.
She's doing great off that Polly money. I think I had that movie on VHS. And because I think I was right at that age limit where I was a little bit too old for animal comedies, but also like still wanted to watch heartwarming animal comedies. Now, if you show me an animal comedy, I swear to God, I will blow this planet up. Don't even show me cute animal. Because someone had me, like, I waited several years, and then someone showed me Marley and Me, and that was devastating. So I'm never going to watch a heartwarming animal comedy ever again. That's why I like movies with like sharks attack people instead. Give me cold-blooded animal comedies. Anyhow.
All right.
What was I saying? Oh yeah, next person as Bubba Hendershot, as played by Pat Hingle, who has a habit of calling everyone else Bubba, which made it very confusing to understand that he was in fact Bubba. William Moore says it is an idiosyncrasy, right? Like at the end, like they have to punctuate certain sentences.
Yeah, I didn't really know
why he would say Bubba like that. He would often say it at the end of a sentence like he was addressing somebody. Right. The captions would treat it like a direct address, a comma, and then the name. But he is, in fact, Bubba. I don't know. We can get into a debate about it later. But important thing is, Alfred Hitchcock Presents, one episode. Hang 'em High, one of the more challenging to watch in modern times versions of Clint Eastwood westerns. Of Mice and Men, Sudden Impact, an episode of Amazing Stories. One episode of Matlock, but I was unable to confirm if it's the one with the ghost. The Land Before Time. You might have known him as Commissioner Gordon in Batman.
Twice?
No, thrice. 4 times.
Oh, he did all of them?
He did all of them. He's like Alfred in that regard. He was Commissioner Gordon in all of them, dude. They kind of just stepped on my surprise. But yeah, no, he throughout the years of going from Burton to Schumacher, he was Commissioner Gordon all along. Batman, Batman Returns, Batman Forever, and Batman and Robin.
Wow.
Yeah, so he's like what Alfred, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, Gough. Anyways, the guy who played Alfred throughout all 4 of those movies as well. Did I said The Land Before Time. Murder, She Wrote. He was in 3 different episodes as 3 different characters, so really scraping the barrel there. The Quick and the Dead, Larger Than Life, which is a heartwarming elephant movie. The Shining miniseries, Muppets from Space, and then also kind of linking up with Richard Roundtree, Shaft, the 2000 Shaft. He was in that. That was what was that the last movie Richard Roundtree was in?
No, he was in Talladega Nights. He was in a couple other ones.
No. The last movie that we talked about.
Oh, yes.
No, yeah, I know he's in other movies besides that. I just meant the last movie, the last movie for us, not for the Earth.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next up is the most annoying character in this movie, Connie, as played by Yeardley Smith. Is it Yeardley?
Sure.
The entire planet will know her as Lisa Simpson on all Simpsons content. He's been playing Lisa Simpson for decades, and it seems like every supplemental appearance, or at least many of them. So I only put a few of her like higher profile items. An episode of Tales from the Dark Side. As you can see, my idea of higher profile is kind of weird. But yeah, she was an episode of Tales from the Dark Side. City Slickers, which does have Billy Crystal in it.
It does.
We're Back, A Dinosaur Story. And
Great.
then, yes, it is. And then the last one I put is The Chaperone, a movie, a attempt to try to get Paul Levesque, the same kind of, heartwarming comedy, tough guy comedy movie that you get out of like The Rock or John Cena. Paul Levesque is Triple H, in case you didn't know. So I don't know who she played in The Chaperone, but I just saw that and I had to mention it because, Triple H, he didn't quite make it, did he? So
Not as an actor.
no, I mean he's great in the wrestling content, but he could never make that transition, even though he did his best in Blade Trinity.
He did okay.
I didn't say he did well. I said he did his best.
Be nice. He could kill us.
He could, but we're not his agent. Anyways, next up is Curtis, as played by John Short. Some real high profile stuff for him. Apollo 13, Ransom, Shiloh 2, Shiloh Season, the direct-to-video sequel to Shiloh. 102 Dalmatians, Puppies to the Rescue, which I believe is a video game. How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the Jim Carrey one. Christmas with the Cranks, the Tim Allen one. And his most recent item is Transient, which came out in 2020 and looks like a horror movie because it had a skeleton head on the cover.
It's a video game.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Is it scary?
Yes.
Well, then, still scary. It's still horror. It didn't look like a video game.
It's tagged as H.P. Lovecraft meets cyberpunk.
Oh, those are two things that don't mix. Interesting. Well, gonna table that for another discussion. Because next up is Deke, the child lead of this movie, as played by Holter Graham. Now, he has some bangers here. So, Two Evil Eyes, which we brought up last episode. Fly Away Home, which I think is a geese-centered, heartwarming animal story. The Warriors video game. Grand Theft Auto Liberty City Stories. Now, taking a break from Rockstar video games, he does Dear John, which I think has like Channing Tatum in it or something. Then back to Rockstar for Manhunt 2, Red Dead Redemption, Grand Theft Auto 5, and Red Dead Redemption 2. So,
hey, you want to talk about a fucking wild ride? Those Manhunt games are something else.
When they came out, they were so violent and so notorious for being violent that my mother wouldn't allow me to get them, which is like one of the only times that she's ever put her foot down in such a way.
They're still hard to play.
Like in terms of mechanics or in terms of ultra violence?
In terms of like moral fortitude.
Yeah, they were notorious for that, for being difficult to deal with. Didn't they have to get around the ESRB's ratings that wanted to do the adult only because of how like gruesome the kills were? So in order to get around it, they did that grainy thing where it looks like the footage is coming through a camera in the room while you do like the actual murders.
Yeah, it goes to like a smut film angle.
Yeah,
which honestly makes it worse.
Snuff film.
Yeah, thank you.
Smut film is a different
You wouldn't
thing.
know what that means. Thank you.
Anywho, but yeah, that's what that one is. So,
yep.
And he also was in N, which I didn't realize they made a movie out of N, so I looked it up, and it looks like it's just a short film. But N was a super interesting Stephen King short story that was in, I think it was in Full Dark No Stars, one of his short story collections. I can't remember which one though. He has so many, and they're all so good. So, I don't know if there's any way to get a hold of that, but I would like to see it. Next up is Wanda June. A very Stephen King name for a character. Wanda June, as played by Ellen McEldiff. Now here, strap in, buddy, because I did some research here. So she was in Christmas Evil, JFK. She was in Homicide: Life on the Street for 15 episodes. She was in Homicide: Life on the Street, the movie. She was in Law and Order, which is in the same universe as Homicide: Life on the Street, as we know, because Detective Munch made the move from Homicide: Life on the Street to Law and Order SVU. But in those 2 episodes of Law and Order, she played 2 different characters. Not the same character. But then she has an appearance in Law and Order SVU where she's playing the same character from Homicide: Life on the Street, but she has a different last name, suggesting that she got divorced from Detective Munch. So anyone who knows the lore of SVU, let me know if that's the case. But that's what it looks like to me is what happened. And I took the time to write it down, so now you have to hear it. So,
a lot of drama you're bringing in.
I know, man. I took it. I do my due diligence. Y'all don't think I do, but I do.
It's fair.
Sorry, I had to mute myself for a second there. Next up is Handy, which the closed captions insisted on calling Andy, even though you told me before this recording there is a character named Andy, and I had no idea who he is and still don't. Handy, as played by Frankie Faison, he is the original driver of the big bad in this, which is the Green Goblin truck.
Yeah, the toy truck.
Oh yeah, the happy toys with a Z. But yeah, so he's been in so many things. Cat People, Chud, Exterminator 2, The Money Pit, Okay, so here's a fun thing. He was in Manhunter, The Silence of the Lambs, Hannibal, Red Dragon, which is an adaptation of the same novel as Manhunter. So he was in all of those adaptations of Thomas Harris's like Hannibal books.
Mm.
He's like, there can't be that many actors that are in all of those. But then some other good stuff: Coming to America, Do the Right Thing, 1 episode of Monsters, the companion series to Tales from the Dark Side, The Langoliers, Gods and Generals, the overlong movie about Stonewall Jackson, White Chicks, Luke Cage, and most recently he was in The Rookie and The Rookie Feds, where The Rookie Feds was like a spinoff of The Rookie, and he is the father of the main character of that. So like I actually remembered him in those things. So I was like, oh man, he's still working. I guess not now. They canceled The Rookie Feds, but I'm sure he'll find work. So you go, Frankie Faison. Faison? I don't know how it's pronounced.
Sure, you did it. Proud of you.
Well, we still have so many people to go. All right, next up. Camp Loman, as played by Christopher Murney. He was in Slapshot, very famous hockey movie. Have you heard of it?
One of the best movies of all time.
I know you've heard of it. He was in Barton Fink, which I don't know what that is, but there's a thing in his article that said he best known for Slapshot and Barton Fink. And I'm like, I've never heard of Barton Fink. That's what he's best known for. But he has some pretty cool video game credits. Red Dead Revolver, Land of the Dead, Road to Fiddler's Green, Neverwinter Nights 2, and Red Dead Redemption. So there you go. Important video game credits, at least.
Yeah.
Next up is Duncan, the short-lived father of Deke, as played by J.C. Quinn. Now, here's a question for you, a little trivia question of my own here. Did we cover J.C. Quinn when we did another movie where he was featured as a character? Do you know?
Is this a quiz or like what do we?
It's more like do you remember him? Do you remember him existing?
Yeah.
In Chud?
Yeah.
I do not remember him.
He was Murphy.
Oh, he was Murphy. That's right. Did we cover him?
Was this a trick question? We briefly like skipped over him.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I don't want to like do JC Quinn twice, but I also want to do JC Quinn dirty either.
Well, so like, look, I think out of all of his movies, this is the one he's the most famous for, and like his IMDb like screenshot is like when he dies in this movie. Spoiler.
What?
Yeah.
Well, the reason that I said it is because I save all of my documents from all of our previous episodes, but for some reason my Chud cast and crew notes are just gone, and I have no idea where they are.
Oh no.
Yeah, like it's embarrassing for me.
I am embarrassed for you.
I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed for me. Well, yeah, I'll cover them real fast then. Hooch, but not of Turner and Chud, Twisted. Oh wait, Turner and Hooch. He's also in that. So he's in two different Hooch movies. Days of Thunder, The Prophecy, but not the one with the monster bears. The one with Christopher Walken as an angel trying to murder everyone. Primary Colors and The Abyss. So there you go. JC Quinn. America's Sweetheart. Next up is Joey, as played by Pat Miller, who's apparently best known for his stand-up comedy. He was in a movie called Terror of the Night. Looked pretty sick, but then most of the other stuff is going to be video game credits. Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, Dino Crisis 2. Sorry. Serious Sam's Second Encounter, and Mafia 3. I'm sorry I laughed about Dino Crisis 2. But man, that game is so good. I wish they would, like, Capcom keeps remaking all the Resident Evils. Give some love to the Dino Crises, dude.
People have been clamoring, but if I guess you forget that that was a survival horror game. So
what, Dino Crisis?
Yeah.
Dino Crisis 1 was.
Yeah.
Dino Crisis 2 was like a arcade action game, dude. It was so different.
Well, people want Dino Crisis 1, and I don't think my blood pressure could handle that sort of anxiety.
People want Dino Crisis 1. I want Dino Crisis 2.
That's fair.
Anyways, but so Pat Miller also is known for stunts in a little movie called Eight-Legged Freaks, which, despite my hatred for spiders, is a movie that I unabashedly love. So, you know, the one with David Arquette and ScarJo's in it.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe someone else in this movie is also in it. Well, let's find out. Who's next on the list? Brad, as played by Leon Rippey. Brad, a character who I didn't even look into because I didn't know his name until he dies in this movie, but then I found out he's in tons of stuff. Is that who I'm talking about? Why, yes, Shane. Yes, it is. Shane, don't interrupt me while I'm pretending to ask you questions. No, you should know this is a monologue at this point. All right, Shane, do you know who I'm talking about? Now you can answer.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Brad. Yes, it's Brad.
Yes.
So yeah, Leon Rippey. He's in Firestarter, King Kong Lives, Young Guns 2, Universal Soldier, 2 episodes of Diagnosis Murder, Stargate, The Patriot, where his character has a very sad end, Eight-Legged Freaks. Wait, is he the douchebag mayor of the town in Eight-Legged Freaks, Shane?
I don't know. Is he?
He is, yeah. That's a good. You don't know Eight-Legged Freaks with David Arquette and Dougie Doug?
I love that movie.
I feel like I'm the only person on earth that even remembers it.
No way. The when he actually does the line for the title, like I was like, come on. He's kicking him off. They're like climbing up that tower.
Yeah, when they're on the tower at Dougie Doug's like radio station. Yeah. He's like, you know, get away from you eight-legged freaks. Yeah, he says it.
Eight-legged freaks.
Yeah, get back. That's what it is. Yeah. Yeah, he says the thing. He says the name. It's a title drop.
Then there's the badass like dirt bike scenes where the spiders are eating the dirt bike people.
The jumping spiders are grabbing them. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like my second favorite sequence. My favorite sequence in that movie is when the people are leaving the diner to try to run to their cars and all the trapdoor spiders are coming up and grabbing them from the parking lot.
That was hard to watch.
That was rad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, despite how much I'm terrified of spiders, love that movie. But yeah, back to Leon Rippey. Also the Alamo, the Lone Ranger, Under the Dome, 11/22/63, and then also the Deadwood series and subsequent movie. And that's all the main characters, but for once I'm going to actually grab up a real quick side character who's credited as video player. Do you know why I'm going to grab up this character, Shane?
I do, but I'm not going to ruin it.
It'd be really funny if you did, though. Just step on my toes.
Like I ruined all of your other jokes. Just go for it.
He's played by Giancarlo Esposito, who back in 1986, probably not that high profile, but now he's in like what, everything? He's, Breaking Bad, Harley Quinn as Lex Luthor, like TMNT, Mutant Mayhem, The Mandalorian, obviously Better Call Saul, The Boys, Far Cry 6. Like that dude, like you can't even like turn around without him being in something, and also probably very menacing in it. So very funny to see him as like a young man trying to steal cigarettes who gets murdered by an arcade machine. Spoiler alert.
So, Giancarlo Esposito is in a show I love, Revolution. And honestly, the show's not good. He is so good in it, it makes the show better. He is such a great villain.
He is, yeah.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah, it's one of those things like those post-apocalyptic sort of shows are really hard to pull off.
Yep.
Like I'm only convinced that something like Walking Dead went on for as long as it did because they used like such minimalist sets most of the time. And sometimes that was actually to the detriment because in like season 2 of The Walking Dead, everyone's like, get away from the farmhouse. I'm like, nah, it's in the budget, baby. We're staying at the farmhouse. But Giancarlo Esposito, man, it's crazy to see. Because I didn't recognize him at first, but when I saw him in the credits, I went and rewatched it a couple times. I was like, it's him.
I didn't notice it. I didn't notice him until it got zapped. And then I'm like, wait a minute. And I rewound it and I'm like, holy shit.
You don't really see his face very well until the machine starts to hypnotize him. Because for most part, he's just like running around grabbing stuff because like all the machines are going haywire.
Yep.
So there you have it. That is the cast and the crew, or at least as much as we're going to cover. Although I guess I probably should mention the cinematographer, right? Because you remember that story about the cinematographer in this, or did you read about that at all?
I don't remember. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, so there's a stunt in this where the cinematographer essentially, so most of the vehicles were controlled by radio control, and there's a scene where they're doing a radio controlled push lawnmower that was moving, and they had a shot that was right by where the blades are, and the cinematographer insisted that they remove the blades. And Stephen King, he was abusing substances at the time, he was not in a good place, insisted that they keep it the way it is, despite warnings from both the cinematographer and from like the special effects crew. Basically, it hit a block of wood and it hit the eye of the cinematographer and basically blinded him in that eye.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was Armando Nannuzzi, an Italian cinematographer. Who was, he was worried that it would affect his career. He apparently still worked even after that, but not as much as he had before. But he thought it had ended his career. But interestingly enough, he did return to finish the film after that happened. But at the same time, he did sue Stephen King and like Dino De Laurentiis afterwards. Probably rightfully so, because they cost him his eye.
Yeah, I mean, someone had to come back and keep an eye on things.
Wow. Anyways, but the only things that he did that were of any interest to me were like Silver Bullet and then like Frankenstein Unbound. Like he did some other really weird stuff. Like if you ever want to see The Magnificent Cuckold, he apparently was a cinematographer on that. But I don't know what that is, so I won't vouch for it.
Sure you could guess.
Pretty good guess. All right. Well, that covers the cast and crew. Should we move on to the next thing?
Sure.
It's time for What?
What is it?
Okay. Yes, thank you for queuing me up, Shane. It is the
Plot description.
lengthy music break.
I mean lengthy.
It's slightly lengthy. It's like usually like
30 seconds.
Yeah, 30 seconds. Yeah.
Just enough for you to go up and get another drink. So I'm looking out for you folks.
Yeah, but we don't do it live.
Also, conveniently the same length for an ad spot. I don't know.
Yeah, sure. As soon as we get advertisements, we'll be doing that.
Yeah. Pizza Hut, get at me.
Pizza. Ew. Well, yeah, I mean, that's fine, I guess.
I mean, no one else is going to pay us.
Well, the good thing about being paid by Pizza Hut is you're also paid by Taco Bell and KFC. Three
and
birds,
Pepsi.
one stone. Well, yeah, Pepsi too. And Mountain Dew Baja Blast. What were we talking about again? Oh, yeah, we're doing the plot description of this movie. Smash cut 2 trucks. But no, that's the story. Also, by the way, I'm going to not remember so many of these trucks. The only one that stands out to me is a Green Goblin truck. So you jump in if there's a truck of interest that you want to talk about.
You're speaking my fucking language, pal.
I knew it. All right, so opening credits. There's like yellow letters that start on a starry sky until it shows us Earth. And then some letters come up explaining that in June of 1987, Earth passed into a rogue comet's tail and would remain in the tail of that comet for 8 days, 5 hours, 29 minutes, and 23 seconds.
Yeah, the 23 seconds seemed a little specific. Especially the tidbit we get at the end of the movie.
Do you want to know the funniest part about this, actually?
Yeah.
Beyond the exactness of comet science. So when I was reading, like I like to read the Wikipedia articles for these movies just to like kind of get me prepped when I'm watching them so I don't lose track of the plot while I'm taking my notes and stuff like that. So because that happens to me no matter how many times I watch it, I often lose track of it while I'm making notes of it. The date is definitely in June of 1987 in the opening text crawl, but the Wikipedia article says July 19th, 1987. Like, where the hell did she get that date? It's not even the same date as the opening crawl, and like no one has fixed it on their Wikipedia article.
Stephen King did it.
Why? To get it closer to my birthday? I was born in July of 1987, Shane. That's when I was.
That's what he told me when I interviewed him for this podcast. So
if you had an interview with Stephen King for this podcast and you did not invite me, I would be so mad. I'd be so mad I couldn't even think of a funny thing to say to tell you how mad I would be. I was too flustered by the very idea. Anyways, back to the comet. Also, how weird is it that there's so many horror movies in the 80s themed around comets? Because we had Life Force, which we already covered.
Mm-hmm.
There's Night of the Comet, which I watched at your house when you guys were like weightlifting or whatever. So I guess that's only 3 comet-based horror movies, but that's like 3 more comet-based horror movies than since, pretty much.
That's fair.
I'm asking the hard-hitting journalistic questions, Shane. You have to accept it.
Finally, someone is
questioning this comet.
Someone's stepping up to do the hard work.
Anyway, so we see Earth engulfed in an animated green hue, which will come up often at night during the movie, which I guess is the tail of the comet. Then cut to Wilmington, North Carolina. Maybe you've heard of it. I've heard of it because growing up, one of my mom's friends had a house there. So I used to visit in Wilmington, North Carolina. So if you haven't heard of it, not as important, but it exists. So we see outside of a bank, and it's one of those bank signs, those digital signs that tell you the temperature and, the time. But then it starts flashing "fuck you" over and over again.
Yeah.
Which is actually pretty funny.
Yes, it is.
And then a guy goes to the ATM, and it's Stephen King.
Right.
In his cameo appearance. And the message on the ATM's like display is, "You are an asshole." And then this flashes "asshole" over and over and over again. He just turns around and is like, "Honey, this machine is calling me an asshole." Which is so funny because we know later these machines are killing people. It's like they're taking it personally, man. These machines are jags. Music starts up, and what is the needle drop, Shane? Why, it's AC/DC's Who Made Who. Sorry, I didn't give you a chance to answer. Did you want to answer?
No, good.
It's AC/DC's Who Made Who. So then we get the actual credits, not the opening crawl from space. And it continues as we see a bunch of vehicles driving over one of those bridges that like break in the middle. Like there's a control person. Was a bascule bridge?
Yep.
So like a bunch of cars going over that. And knowing that those are controlled mechanically, we can surmise that this is going to go poorly. And guess what? The men who control the bridge aren't even paying attention. They're playing cards, Shane. They're so complacent around machinery that has so many lives in its hands. And they don't notice that the machines have begun to operate themselves.
Apparently the one guy doesn't know how to play.
What were they playing?
I don't know. They make that comment.
Yeah, I wasn't really paying too much attention to them. I was paying attention to the buttons that were moving on their own as if controlled by a force from beyond the stars. So the lights that warn people don't trigger because apparently they were different buttons and the alien waves that control this didn't want to let them know. So cars continue to drive as the bridge starts to rise up. And it's basically just a really long sequence of like gratuitous destruction. Like people just falling. Some cars slide down onto other cars. A lady just goes straight through her windshield. A motorcyclist falls into the water because he was very close to the top. A truck at the top was like bridging the gaps of the bridge as it went and falls through. I put in my notes a ton of gratuitous shots of watermelons falling because there's like a watermelon truck inexplicably there. It just dumps watermelons on everybody.
Everywhere.
Yes. So many watermelons. An AC/DC van, which you mentioned earlier, is involved. And there's a website. It's called like How Many People Die. And they counted up the number of people who die in the scene. It's so many. It's like more than almost the rest of the movie combined. And I was like, I don't remember all of these people dying. It's like talking about like,
yeah, I don't know. That scene where the kid rides through the neighborhood, there's no way that this had more deaths than that.
Well, because it was saying some of the cars that fell onto and crushed the other ones, they said it's implied that they died. But they also said the motorcycle guy died. And I was like, he just fell into the river. He's probably fine. He's going to swim away.
Everyone knows that if you ride a motorcycle, you can't swim.
Well, they actually put in parentheses debatable. I was like, yeah, I'm going to debate the hell out of that. But okay, so this is an aside, and if you want to cut it, fine. But also on that website, it's like a wiki, right? Like it's like a wiki where people like tally up the deaths in a movie.
Yep.
It also includes the sentient vehicles and devices among the dead.
So that was what I was going to ask you. Are we considering the vehicles as characters?
That's what it puts like the first time I saw it, it's like sentient electric knife. And I was like, wait, what? It's like Bill crushes it with a hammer. I'm like, wait, you count the knife? So it counts all of the living vehicles as characters.
Because some cars don't react and some do. So it's like, are the ones that don't react to the comet, are they characters or they're just inanimate objects?
I think I
had a very deep internal conversation with myself about this.
Philosophers have spent centuries debating whether or not.
So why does this matter to us, Stefan? Because if we have to pick the McMurder of the movie, do we consider car murder a thing?
Or electric knife murder, for that matter.
Exactly.
Or drive-through intercom murder.
Yeah, where does it stop?
Where does it end? Indeed.
Or Brad. I don't know.
Or Brad. No, not Brad. Definitely not Brad. That dude had it coming. Anyways, we'll get there. But yeah, no, the question is like, what counts as alive? But I think that we've established before that we prefer not to have the villain of the movie be the murder of the movie, even though there's been some rad villain murders. And I think it's hard to argue that the sentient vehicles and technology are not the villains of the movie.
Man, I have an argument for you later, so
it's going to be a fun time. Here we go.
I can't wait.
Let's rock and roll, as AC/DC would instruct us to do.
Yeah, for those about to rock.
Yeah, salute. Anyways, yeah, like this scene lasts so long. So many people get crushed by vehicles.
Yeah.
The guys working the control room are upset, understandably so. They're going to lose their jobs, probably their lives, though, because of the mass murders that are about to occur at the hands of technology. So that scene ends. We get the introduction of the Green Goblin truck, or the Happy Toys with a Z truck. But it's the Green Goblin. It's like the Green Goblin face. And I still don't understand how they got the rights to do that. But apparently Marvel knew about it. Like they were fine with it at the time. But the character on the grill of that truck is clearly the Green Goblin.
Right.
Yeah. So as the truck arrives, there are two mechanics that are sitting around at a truck stop talking about baseball. The driver, Handy, not Andy, as the closed captions would have you believe, goes into the diner, and while he waits for the mechanics to fill up his truck. Before he went in, he did show off, like, look at this face on this thing. It's like, hey, I'm not sure how that's street legal, but it also makes for a good villain for the movie, so I'm not going to question it.
Right.
In the diner, the waitress, Wanda June, is talking about how the radio has started going bananas. It's going to be a common theme in these early parts of the apocalypse, as the radio is hard to get. Even though later on they also listen very much to radio broadcasts that explain what's happening. I don't know. I don't make the rules. Stephen King does, and he was coked out of his goddamn mind. Emilio Estevez's Bill is cooking eggs until he's called away by his boss, who we'll later learn is Bubba Hendershot. We know he's Bubba Hendershot because he's listed in the credits as such, not because anyone often addresses him that way, because he frequently addresses everyone else as Bubba, or says Bubba at the end of sentences as some kind of nervous tick. In the game room, all the arcade machines. If it seems like I'm cutting around a lot, that's not my fault. The movie did this to us.
Right. And then there's like inexplicable scenes of just nothing.
Yes. That's what I was telling you. I think I said it before this recorded. Is like, or before we started recording, is there's so much at the beginning and so much at the end. In the middle, a lot of nothing, just like meandering.
Yep.
In the game room, all of the arcade machines are acting up. The pinball machine is going bonkers. The coffee machine is shooting coffee all over the place. The cigarette machine is dropping cigarettes. That's about all it can do. It's drop cigarettes, but it's doing it. It's showing you what for. Meanwhile, out by the truck, the Green Goblin truck, the gas pump stops distributing the diesel. Duncan, the character who's refueling it, takes the pump out, and it isn't working. So he decides the most reasonable thing to do if it isn't working is to turn it to his face.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, which leads to it shooting diesel fuel into his eyeballs, blinding him. I don't know if he's full blind, but it won't matter. He's going to die before too long. The other mechanics call Bubba, who's in the middle of his meeting with Bill, and he dismisses the incident, telling them to flush Duncan's eyes out with water, which doesn't seem to work very well if they indeed do it. But yeah, so Bubba is essentially, so Bill is on parole, right? Well,
yes.
he has two things against him. One, he's a college
Probation, I think. Yeah.
he's a college boy, which Bubba hates it because it's the South. We don't like college education there. And then number two, he is on, is it probation or parole? I thought he was on parole.
Yeah, maybe. Yep.
Because I thought he had a felony record.
I believe you.
For robbery. But anyways, yeah, so I thought he was on parole. But in any case, Bubba is stressing the fact that he is basically entirely dependent on him. So he explains that there's like a star on Bill's time card, and what he wants him to, he says, like, that's a star that means that you belong to me, and when you clock in, I want you to clock out. What is it? Clock in for 8 but work for 9. He wants him to basically work for free for an extra hour, which is wage theft and is a felony as well. Or at least if it's not, it should be. Should be a capital offense if you ask me. But anyways, so Bill goes out to the hall, putting his time card back, and notices how many other time cards have a star designating that they are also parolees. So Bubba is a crook. If you didn't guess that already. Don't worry, there's going to be more things to indicate that he's less than reputable. The customer whose eggs were being constructed asks about the status of them. Wanda June had moved back to take over the eggs for Bill, at Bubba's insistence. But Wanda June is attacked by the electric carving knife. It cuts into her arm. And then when it's on the ground, it's trying to get her foot. It's going for her, man. But
I mean, I get it.
Well, she is very annoying later. Yes, I would.
Yeah.
I would definitely, if I was a knife killer later, like right then, she seemed like a normal person. Yeah. So Bill like wraps a rag around Wanda June's arm. And then one of the patrons is talking about how it's a short circuit, but isn't the knife battery operated? Because it doesn't have a cord.
Right. You're
so,
right.
Yeah. It's not, I don't know if it could be that. Anyways, Bill smashes the hell out of it with a hammer. Carving knife dead. The first of the robots has been destroyed.
R.I.P. to a real one.
Yeah. Meanwhile, in the game room, the individual who we know is Giancarlo Esposito, but is credited as video player, was going around grabbing up like a bunch of the cigarettes that had dropped out of the machine, but becomes mesmerized by the screen on one of the arcade cabinets. He puts his hand on the machine. Bad move. It electrocutes him with some really bad looking animated electricity effects. He's dead. Although I will say that when he like falls, he twitches a lot, which is pretty cool looking. Like when Bill comes back to investigate.
Right.
I think that the twitching of the body afterwards is pretty cool. But the electricity effects, not so much. Smash cut to a Little League baseball game. Surely there won't be any children murdered, right?
No, never.
Wait, this is Stephen King, who loves killing kids.
And dogs.
Yeah, he really likes to hurt your feelings. So there's a coach who's offering to buy sodas for the kids on his team. But the machine doesn't seem to be working when he goes up to it. One of the kids is like, "Uh-oh, no sodas." No, turns out there's going to be sodas, like way more than you want. So the machine shoots a soda can at high speed, hitting the man in the nuts. He doubles over, boom, hits him again in the chest. Oh, he goes down on his knees. That was so much. Then what happens? Oh, it's a can to the fucking head.
Well, kids are loving the nut shot.
They did. They thought the nut shot was funny until he gets domed. And they realize,
what the fuck?
They realize that something terrible is happening because then the machine continues to machine gun cans at the kids.
Yeah.
Which causes most of them to flee. One of them, who we'll later learn, is Deke. He stays behind to survey the dying coach. He like gets down and like army crawls below the barrage of machine gun soda cans. He gets to the coach, and then the coach is like still like barely alive. He has like a huge round bloody hole in his head. And he's like basically dying. But then as he goes to run, we see that two of the Little League players are also dead from the barrage of cans.
Yeah.
So there's two dead kids. Just a lovely Sunday, right? Anyways, next up is like one of the kids is like trying to flee on his bicycle, but he like biffs it on like, I guess, a hole in he's like in the outfield. He like seems to like biff it on like a hole in the outfield, and smash through like the scoreboard in the back comes a steamroller, and it just mows this kid down.
Yeah, it does.
Like a steamroller just straight over this kid, man. Like
push pops this kid.
No matter how many times I think I'm ready for that scene, I am never quite ready for it. And apparently it was supposed to be way more gruesome.
Well, I like how they did the hands thing where the hands went up like
he's gonna protect himself.
Yeah,
yeah. That'll show him.
Right.
So apparently they had like a bunch of blood squeegees they wanted to do because Stephen King's vision was after the steamroller had mowed by, there'd be like a big long like bloody like squish on the grass.
Yeah.
But because of how it was set up, it went all the way to the end and then exploded out of the kid's head with a burst of blood.
It's awesome.
And yes, so metal. But like the censors were like, absolutely not. They would not allow it. So,
absolutely not.
So it was cut. I don't know if that scene survived. I hope so. I would love to see it if it was a deleted scene somewhere. But yes, apparently the MPAA draws the line at a kid's head exploding with blood smashed out of it after being run over by a steamroller. But you have to imagine that's how it would actually be. It's like a big tube of toothpaste, right?
Yeah, probably.
It's gotta be.
It's got to be.
Yeah, so what's next? Deke gets on his bike and he's just out of there. He's done. He's done Zilla. That was too much for him. Next cut. Some like Bible salesman dude who I think his name is Camp Loman. Which I assume that like the Loman thing is a reference to Death of a Salesman, but Camp Loman is driving while singing some kind of hymn. He has a female hitchhiker with him who we will later learn is Brett. And of course, despite the fact that he's a Bible salesman singing a religious song, he does attempt to put his hand on her leg, but she rejects the advance. She's tinkering with the radio because, again, we've mentioned that the radios are going nuts. She is trying to find, they finally find one that explains random occurrences and warns people off of major highways because cars and trucks are murdering people. But Camp Loman, the Bible salesman, he's too busy trying to cop a feel. So he puts his hand on her leg again. And she tells him if he doesn't move his hand, he'll be wiping his ass with a hook, implying that she will remove it. He is offended by her language, not by his actions, but by her language. He says something like, he's like, "Oh, people wouldn't talk like that back in my day." I was like, "Ugh, well, cool, man." But then she like after hearing what the radio said, she grabs the wheel and basically forces him to pull over. And it's at the same truck stop. What is it? The Dixie Boy truck stop is the name of the truck stop for this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it was a kind of interesting situation because apparently they constructed this outside of Wilmington, and a lot of truck drivers believed it was real and would pull up. So they had to like put up signs to explain that it's for a movie. So what's next? We're at the camp. Oh yeah. So Camp Loman is yelling at Brett. He's going on like a long like incel rant about how women aren't like you used to be like this. Nowadays women are different or something like that. I didn't know what he was saying because I was too focused on the fact that the Green Goblin truck had come to life and it was driving at him. And Brett, for some reason, decides to save him and pulls him out of the way. So Camp Loman doesn't die at the hands of Green Goblin truck yet. In the diner of the truck stop, everyone's talking about Handy's truck. He explains that whoever did it must be like an expert hot wirer, expert at hot wiring, because he still has the keys. So, there you go. Someone says Hell's Bells, which isn't time for the song to play yet, but I just thought it was funny. Anyhow, next cut is to a car driving down the road containing newlyweds, Kurt and Connie. Oh no, is that Connie, the most annoying character in this entire damn movie? Yes, it is. So they need to get gas, and Connie needs a restroom break, so they pull over. They go to the gas station and notice a corpse, and Connie screams at the sight of it because the dude is crushed as all hell. And will this be... Hey, Shane, question. Will this be the last of Connie's screams?
Of course not. When you find out it's Lisa Simpson, you can't unhear it. No, yeah, that's true. I'm like, I know that voice from somewhere, and I looked it up, and I'm like, oh my god.
Mercifully, as Lisa Simpson, she does not scream all the time. Every other scene.
Yeah, thank God.
Yeah, her scream is the most annoying thing on earth. So I guess like after that, Curtis is walking around. He's doing a little bit of detective work. He like sees a bloody handprint on the side of the building and blood spatter on the wall above, suggesting the dude was crushed while trying to flee into the building. What an interesting tale. Also, the clock doesn't seem to be evil
yet.
So this occurred to me. I don't know if it occurred to you, but like if everything that's mechanical becomes evil, shouldn't clocks be evil?
Yeah, and then like flashlights, like I don't know, like I feel like they're like I kind of
clocks already are evil because they tell me that I'm late to work all the time.
Right. It was
Like
a solid joke.
if they were bros, they tell me I was early.
Yeah, right. They would just change time for you.
Why wouldn't they? It's just relative, right?
Yeah, those bastards.
That's why clocks are evil. So anyways, a tow truck starts up and starts to drive. Kurt is shouting at whoever is in it because there's been a murder of some sort here. Apparently not noticing there's no driver in it. But it charges at Curtis and it hits the pole I guess the awning of the building. And we see the blood spatter on the grill, like near the left the headlight, which is probably the thing that is the blood of the dead guy. That's some pretty tight editing right there. So Connie is like, Curtis, are you dead? But he isn't. He jumped out of the way. He's just kind of dirty. And that's when he notices there's no driver. So he comes out and he embraces his new wife. Their relief, however, is short-lived because the truck begins to start up again. The engine is attempting to turn over. And Connie, and probably the only smart thing she does in the entire movie, jumps into the driver's seat and yells at Curtis to do the same. And they drive away as she screams again, because why not? Almost goes the wrong way. Curtis informs her to go the right way, and she screams again about how she's a bad driver. And it's like, this is just her screaming almost ruins this movie for you. I'm just gonna say it right now. Happens too often. The mute button does not happen fast enough to save me from it. Meanwhile, in the arcade, the game room of the truck stop, Bubba is with Joey, who's lighting up his cigar. Joey's a real yes man, you know? He's always doing what he's told by Bubba. So he asks if Joey did what he instructed with the dead body, which is to just put it in the basement. Because why not? Just stack your dead bodies down where your, spoiler alert, illegal weaponry is. Bill, meanwhile, is outside investigating the Green Goblin truck. He notices that there's no one in the driver's seat, which we know. Like, they spend a lot of time trying to explain, wait, there's no one in the driver's seat. It's like, yeah, dude. Yeah, we get it. Like, move on. But Bill hears a musical note. He's prepared to confront someone in, like, the back of the cab of the truck. But when he pulls open the curtain, oh no, it's a Jack-in-the-Box, also of Green Goblin, and also apparently self-controlled.
Yeah, inexplicably.
So simple machines can also be controlled by the alien waves. So while behind the truck, which starts itself, Bill is surprised by Brett. He informs her that there's no one in the truck. And then she says that he's cute, but not that cute or something. That was such a weird exchange. Basically, they need to like have like a romantic interest in this. So she's just like, you're real cute. And he's like, oh yeah, am I cute? And then she's like, yeah, not that cute though. Like, oh, it is Emilio Estevez.
Did you time they're on screen, it's a little like, it's tough.
It's difficult. Yeah. They don't have a lot of chemistry. Did you like my Emilio Estevez impression there?
It was good.
I know.
Just like him.
I'm gonna win awards, baby. Finally, I get an award for something.
It's your time to shine.
Yeah. But anyways, that was a very weird interaction they had. But we do finally get to learn Brett's name at that point because she introduces herself.
I love this scene because it's like these trucks hate females with males' names. Because as soon as she said, "I'm Brett," and the truck turns on,
it turns on. It's the engine turns over.
Like, Jesus Christ!
It's like, yo, whoa,
prejudice.
Man, let me tell you, those trucks hate Joan of Arc for wearing pants.
Yeah, right.
They were like, burn that lady now. Deep cut for anyone who knows why Joan of Arc was actually burned. It was for wearing pants. Anyways, real deep cut for you Joan of Arc fans. What happened? Where was I at again? Oh, we're back to our boy Deke. Now, here's another sequence that I absolutely love. So he's riding through the neighborhood. All of the sprinklers turn on as he's riding by them. And then he stops, like he realizes it happened, and he goes to turn around, but they all turn off at once. So as to not show him they all turned on at once. Which is so weird, because would that be suspicious to him if all the sprinklers were on? And also,
so,
since when do these robots care if you know they exist?
Yeah, and like they control water now?
They control the sprinkler, which is a machine.
I guess.
I mean, I assumed that was what was happening there. I really don't know. I think it was just a funny, like, visual gag. And let me tell you, it was. I thought it was very funny. So what is it? It says here, there's an over the radio, there's a voiceover talking about how machines are going on homicidal rampages all over the world. And Deke sees the carnage because there's somebody dead in a pizza car, some lady dead in the bushes, killed by a lawnmower. There was a dog that was killed by a toy car.
Yeah, I was gonna say this. That was such a wild.
It was a toy police car. How did it even kill him? I don't know.
I don't know.
There's a dude killed by a Walkman, which, by the way, so I didn't understand how he was dead. According to that wiki that I saw, they said that it cranked its volume so high that it ruptured his brain. I'm like, how do you know that? I'm like,
that's great.
There's a woman killed by her hairdryer in the top floor of a building, like of a house, like out the window, and she had been choked to death by the hairdryer. So they apparently can move their power cords. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's just weird. Like I don't understand.
There's
no rhyme or reason.
Yeah, it's just they just kill you. Don't worry about it. But I do love those scenes of like all that carnage, just because it's like one of the things that Stephen King does so well is show the aftermath of horrible disasters. Like I really love that part of like the book The Stand, and then Mick Garris does the same thing in The Stand, like showing the aftermath of all this stuff. It's like, yes, I love this. So it's like I don't even care if it doesn't make sense. It's super cool, and I wish there was more of it. But Deke hears the sound of an ice cream truck coming, which of course isn't driven by anyone, as we know. But he, being the only reasonable person in this entire thing who understands what's happening, decides to run and hide in a yard. He doesn't notice the bloody lawnmower, Shane, that's in the yard. He hides in a bush while the ice cream truck leaves. And the ice cream truck, I put in my notes the name of it because I thought it was funny. So it's MY-T space TAS-T. My tea tastes tea.
Okay.
Yeah, how about that? How about that?
Damn, dude, I missed that.
It takes so much work to like even understand this, trying to do a bit. But anyways, truck drives down. The ice cream truck drives down the road. Deke comes out of hiding as soon as it leaves. But of course, the lawnmower comes to life and starts to chase him. So he's just going down the road while the lawnmower is like running after him. Smash cut to Bible sales. Camp Loman, the Bible salesman, is trying to sell a Bible to Wanda June and then some dude who I guess is probably her husband, because I didn't realize that was supposed to be her husband.
I'm pretty sure it is.
But you said you thought it was. So it's that guy, whoever that guy is. Although it's kind of funny because like Camp Loman is like, let me tell you, this Bible has creation all the way to the end of the world. It's like, yeah, dude, like we know Genesis to Revelation. Are you kidding me? Like he's like acting like it's some kind of like, let me sell you on this. Yeah.
It's a limited edition full Bible.
Limited edition Bible, including the Book of Youth, where God doesn't even appear one time. Purchase this. But yeah, so he's like trying to sell the Bibles. Then meanwhile, Duncan, now blind, because apparently these guys don't know how to flush eyes out when they get hit with a diesel. He's trying to leave because he wants to go get his son Deke. Spoiler alert, that's the kid. That's Deke. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Joey's trying to stop him. Everyone's trying to stop him. Like Bill's trying to stop him. Joey's trying to stop him. Like, Duncan, you're blind, and also machines are murdering people. You can't go out. Bubba, of course, being the capitalist swine he is, threatens Duncan's job if he leaves without clocking out. It's like, hey, Bubba, why don't you read the room? Except Bubba's incapable of that. Which, thankfully, Bill threatens Bubba to let go of Duncan or he'll knock his teeth in. Says, like, yeah, you show him, Bill. You, as a parolee, you threaten him, your employer, with physical violence. But we are glad
Hell yeah.
because Bubba is a piece of garbage. But unfortunately, for once, Bill was wrong, because as Duncan is leaving one of the semi-trucks in the parking lot, I think it was like a trash one, comes to life. And
Was that for me? Yeah.
What was that?
Was that for me? You
I think it was a trash truck, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it comes to life, and it starts up, but Duncan is too blind to see. And Bill yells, "Look out!" But guess what? Too late. He gets splatted. And when I say splatted, oh man, they must have put like a skull full of like tomato sauce on that fake body, because that thing gets demolished.
Yeah, he dropped him.
Yeah. So yeah, everyone else flees, but the truck, it hits the Bible salesman Camp Loman's truck, or his car, and then it stops and then dumps. This is how you know it was a truck full of trash. It opens its side thing and just dumps trash all over Camp Loman's car, which seems weirdly personal for like a truck, like a now alien controlled truck to do. But Camp is upset. He's like, the Bible didn't say nothing about this, and goes out to yell at the driver, ellipses, because there's no driver, Shane. You can't yell at the driver. And I'm trying to find a way to describe the profanity that he uses during the scene. I wrote down a few. Puss bag, snot ball, and snot bag are among the words that he refers to the non-existent driver of this vehicle.
Typical Bible salesman talk.
Just regular Bible salesman stuff. It's like, you want to rock and roll with me, puss bag? It's like, yeah. You show him.
Well, in fact, it does want to rock and roll with you.
It does want to rock and roll with him. It mostly wants to rock and then roll over him with its tires.
Heyo.
Anyways, Camp notices that the Green Goblin truck is coming for him. Bill tries to get him to move, but for some reason, Camp Loman went to the Prometheus school of running away from things and decides to run in a straight line away from the Goblin truck, which by the way, it's backing up, because earlier it pulled forward, so now it's backing up. And then he just gets like splatted right as he gets to a guardrail, which sends him flying over the guardrail into a ravine. So there you go. End of the Bible salesman. Or is it? We'll find out. No, he's still alive, but only for a little while, only for a jump scare. In the diner, Bubba is on a two-way radio trying to raise some help. Because, now there are two corpses that he is responsible for. Bill goes to tell him that there's no one in the cab of the truck, which of course Bubba doesn't believe that, because he's a man of science and learning. Brett wants to change because she smells like the Bible salesman who's now dead. I guess because she was in his car. I don't know. None of that made any sense. I think they just wanted a wardrobe change for the actress who plays Brett. What is it now? There's so many vignettes of just random people doing shit. So like Handy and a couple of other patrons go to get Duncan's body from outside to bring it in to store it. Oh, because the flies were starting to get to it. That's right. Like, we can't let the flies eat him. So they bring him down to the basement with the other corpse. Meanwhile, now all of the trucks are coming to life at once, and they honk their horns in unison.
Yep.
Which are rather loud horns, so it is an effective scare technique. And they start driving around the diner area. And Bubba is now starting to buy into the idea that this is like some kind of supernatural event, because the trucks were all depoted.
Right.
What does that mean? What does depoted mean?
Wait, did we miss when the couple showed up?
No, they aren't going to get there until after the trucks start doing their circle. Remember, because Curtis tries to thread the needle.
You're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But speaking of, back to Curtis and Connie. They're seeing a ton of trucks going down the highway in one direction while they're going down the other direction. It's like, I wonder where they're all going. Spoiler alert, to kill people. But then suddenly a truck pulls out in front of them to try to run them off the road. They avoid it. And then we get another scream from Connie. And when that happens, because it's going to happen so many times. And then the truck is chasing them, and Curtis said he just loaded his pants, which is another Stephen Kingism. So a lengthy chase down the highway, like a really long chase with his truck trying to run them off the road as they drive down the highway, with Connie still screaming almost the entire time. Like,
yeah, it was kind of weird. Even he was like, shut up.
Yeah, finally, like, Curtis, like, say something, like, you know, get your hoe in line, dog. But anyways,
whoa, canceled.
Canceled. Oh yeah, because she was yelling at him too. She was like, "I never should have let you drive again." It's like, is it his fault that this truck came to life and then tried to murder you? Like, how is that his responsibility? She's so annoying, dude. Anyways, at some point, the truck, much like the son of Daedalus, flew too close to the sun and ends up going off the road, and while going down a steep grade, explodes. So it's destroyed.
And it was like on fire prior to leaving the road, though. So I was like, what the fuck?
That truck was just doing too much, man.
Yeah, that truck was going to blow up eventually.
It's only a matter of time. Connie, in an effort to be as annoying as possible, is screaming what is going on, as though Curtis has any more idea than she does about what's going on. You can tell in my notes even that I'm getting so annoyed with her character. Where are we at? Oh yeah, there's a Dixie Boy truck stop sign, and they decide we will go there and call the police and explain what happened. Well, as we know, that place is under siege by trucks. Back at the truck stop, the trucks are now just driving in a circle around the building constantly, which sometimes I was like, ooh, that's pretty menacing. They just keep doing that. And sometimes I was like, this is kind of annoying. They don't have any other moves. It's just a waste of gasoline or diesel fuel, I guess. But it's just a waste of fuel to just drive around this building like that.
Well, which becomes a plot point, I feel like.
What? So?
Continuity? No.
But at that point, Connie is being shitty with Curtis about wanting to go to the truck stop, because obviously it's surrounded by trucks. Curtis wants to thread the needle, baby. He's like, I'm gonna look, there's a space, I can get in, I can do it. He's like, all right. Like, what's the name of that famous stunt driver? Kurt Russell from Death Proof. It's like, all right, Kurt Russell from Death Proof, let's see you thread the needle. No, I was thinking of whatever the actual guy was, but I couldn't remember his name, so I decided to cover myself by pretending it was Kurt Russell from Death Proof.
Solid.
Evel Knievel, and that's who it was. What was that? Oh yeah, and then Wanda June notices this and calls the other patrons at the diner to come and see what Curtis and Connie are about to attempt. Bill is almost stopped by Joey because Bill wants to go out and help them. But he does go outside along with Brett. Brett comes along as well. But of course, Curtis, probably because Connie's constantly on his shit, biffs it, and his car flips forward. He gets out, but
the truck hits him.
The truck hit them, yeah. Like, yeah. I mean, he biffs it. He like mistimes it. Yeah. So he gets out, but Bill and Brett come to help pull Connie out, and Connie's just complaining the entire time. It's like, I'm trapped, and also, what's happening? And it's like, oh my God, dude, like seriously, stop. And then like Bill, Brett, and Curtis and Connie are finally all free. They're running towards the truck stop, but there's a truck on the approach. Who's the unlikely hero to save the day? Why, it's Bubba with an illegal rocket launcher.
Right.
Just absolutely blasts at this truck. The other four have to dive down to like not get hit by it, and then just explodes this truck, which was pretty amazing. Like one of the only times I actually liked Bubba. It was kind of tempered by the fact that Connie was still screaming, so it was very annoying. Which, by the way, I was looking it up later, and apparently this rocket launcher is a law, LAAW.
Yep.
Which is not supposed to be fired from the hip like he does. It has to be over the
No,
shoulder.
shoulder.
Yeah. So, whoops. Got that science wrong.
Yeah, it would probably blow out of their hands.
Well, that's also true. There's a lot of problems with a random guy owning a truck stop in North Carolina having access to a rocket launcher. Yeah, Bill understandably asks where the rocket launcher was retrieved from. Joey attempts to answer, but Bubba cuts him off, since it's likely an illegal weapons stash. Which again, why Bubba would be so like protective of that, knowing now that there's definitely something afoot. But Bubba's not willing to let go of the old world. He's gonna hold on to the vestiges of power that came from the capitalist society they came from, not this society, which I guess is alien truck dominated. Next up, the trucks abuse Curtis and Connie's abandoned car. Like just start like hitting it and like running it over and like driving it around and stuff, which upsets everyone, and I don't really understand why. It's like, no one's in there, dude. Like, let them hit the car, it's fine. Which is also very spiteful on the part of these trucks, so like they're real bitter. Yeah, Bill is talking to Brett again. She had a razor in her boot for protection since she's hitchhiking to Florida. She called it what, Mother's Helper or Mother's Little Helper or something like that. The only reason I know that is because it comes up later, because Bill uses it to cut. Well, I'll get into it, but he uses it later. At least she was before. Yeah, this is where she does the title drop, because she said, I was hitchhiking to Florida. At least I was before every machine in the world decided to go into maximum overdrive.
Yeah, it was solid. It was a good line.
Title
like,
drop.
It's like, they were like, we got to get this in somewhere.
You got to fit it in. You have to. Yeah. Maximum overdrive. And then we get a little sweet moment of emotion. She starts to cry because she's scared. And Bill asks if he can put his arm around her, or if she'll stick him with her razor if he does. And she is amenable to it, and also explains to him that you don't stick someone with a razor, you slash them with it. It's like, yeah, dude, you ever even seen a razor? Like, what's up? Meanwhile, Deke finds the wreckage of the truck that had attacked Curtis and Connie, but he can't stay long because there's a plane flying nearby. And is there a song that's playing while this plane is flying?
Yeah, so I didn't know was the plane actually playing the song, because it cuts to Deke and you can still hear the music.
I assume it was just like, it was non-diegetic. It was more for us, our understanding that this song accompanies like airborne assaults frequently.
Yeah, Flight of the Valkyries.
Isn't it Ride of the Valkyries?
Ride of the Valkyries, thank you.
Yeah. But yes, yeah, Ride of the Valkyries again. Which is super funny because this plane shot, like now, actually pays off later. Do you remember?
Yeah, it does.
Like,
you want to ruin it now or no?
We can talk. No, we'll get to it when we get there.
Hey, so good.
Yeah, listeners, put a pin in this. When will the plane pay off? Why didn't the plane attack the kid? I don't know. Maybe it'll find more kids to attack. Anyways, yes, it's gonna pay off. Which is honestly like, I don't know, man. Like, Stephen King said he never directed again after this because of that, but like his attention to continuity is very good, and it comes up many times. And like, there's so many things that are easy to overlook that he doesn't. So the plane is going to be among them. Anyways, smash cut to Joey taking a shit. So Joey's in the bathroom. He's having a dump, reading High Society, which is not like a home and garden magazine. It is a porn magazine. So Joey's in there having a dump. And you want to know how we know he's having a dump, Shane?
Wow.
Because we constantly hear the sound of it. Like, look, I understand that sometimes you want to make like verisimilitude in filmmaking is important. You want things to feel real. But I don't need to hear dude dropping his turds in a toilet bowl. I don't need that. That isn't something you have to do while they're having a conversation. But Stephen King, maybe it was because of his 8th beer of the day. Maybe it was because of the cocaine. He decided we needed to hear the dump that Joey was having. while
Well, if
Bill
you if you had
comes in.
closed captioning on, it was even worse.
It was.
Yeah.
It did. It captioned every sound. Anywho,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah. Yeah, but Bill comes in and asks about the weaponry that Bubba has in the basement. Joey is trying to be pragmatic about it. He's like, yo, you heard when Bubba told me to shut up. Like, but Bill tells Joey, yo, this is serious. And Joey's like, yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot. Like, Joey puts up almost no resistance. So yeah, there's a lot of weapons down there. Like, he's like, and Bill's like, does he have like grenades? Does he have anything like this? He's like, Joey's just like, yeah, he's got it all, dude. He's got it all. Let me continue to drop my turds while we have this conversation. Mercifully, we cut to Bill and Brett in the basement investigating the weaponry. And let me tell you, a lot of it. There's a lot of weaponry. But of course, rookie move is when they turn on the light, Brett screams when she sees the body down there, even though we all know that they were storing a corpse down there. It's actually more surprising there's only one. There should have been 2 corpses there.
Right. Yeah, it was kind of weird.
I just assume they put Giancarlo Esposito's corpse in a different part of the basement so as to not have too many corpses in one spot.
That's fair.
Because that's how you get rats.
It's typical corpse management.
Yeah. One of my favorite video game genres, corpse management. But probably because of her scream, Bubba finds them, and he's unhappy that they're snooping around and suggests that they're thieves, even though he literally just to prove he had a rocket launcher. It's like, yeah, clearly you have an arsenal, bro. Like, I don't understand what his deal is. Like, we're all in this together, right? So Bubba, for whatever reason, reveals Bill's criminal history of robbery to Brett. He also says that his ass is grass when this is all over, suggesting that I guess he'll violate Bill's parole once this is done. But anyways, that's not going to work because ladies love a guy with criminal history, let me tell you. And also, his ass won't be grass because everyone's being murdered by machines everywhere. Bubba goes up to yell at Joey. You know that because he yells Joey while he's going up the stairs. So hopefully Joey got to finish his dump or he's about to have a bad time.
Probably not.
It was a long one. Bill explained,
judging from those sounds.
Based on this sound, we don't have much time passed between cuts.
Yeah.
Bill explains to Brett that he owed someone some money, and not being too bright, he decided he would get it through theft. Those are his words. He said that. Brett doesn't seem fazed by this. So I think they're going to be all right. I think that these 2 crazy kids will get through it. Meanwhile, on a bicycle is Deke, who gets to the truck stop, but seeing the truck circle, decides he needs to try to get access through an underground pipe. He finds the pipe, but he cannot remove the grate.
Right.
All right, put that in your mind. That grate's going to become important. Smash cut tonight. Apparently Bill and Brett have had intercourse because they are in a postcoital glow on a random ground mattress somewhere. Which, by the way, we find out where that ground mattress is, and it's just in another room in the truck stop. So Bill has been living in the truck stop, apparently. I mean, I assume it's his bed, right?
I don't know. I didn't know that because, like, I was thinking about that. I'm like, okay, who possibly could have been like actually living there? So maybe Bubba.
Bubba, really though, he's like hella wealthy. I feel like he probably has like a house with like a bunch of like nouveau riche like bullshit architecture and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know, man. This is a head scratcher for me.
The only reason I didn't think that it was Bill's bed is because later we see it in daylight and there's like so many like naked pictures of women on the wall. Like so many. Like it's like wallpapered with like nude women. It's like gross.
So I'm like, been Joey's.
I think it was probably Joey's. Like I'm sorry, but he's the one we saw reading porn while doing a dumpy. Like he's got to be the one who's got the porn bed in the gas station. So yeah, in any case, I All right. So, during their post-intercourse discussion, Bill notices that the sky is green, much like in the opening scene when we saw the Earth surrounded by green light. Brett correctly deduces that it's the comet's tail, and says that that's probably the cause for everything, and that everyone just needs to survive 7 days. Bill tells Brett about a place called Haven, which is there's supposedly no motor vehicles, and he has a plan that they will take a sailboat, like a non-motor based boat, and go there. Because apparently he says he used to work on a sailboat at some point in his life.
He like captained them or like would run them or whatever.
Yeah, it's like, what is he, Pirates of the Caribbean? Get out of here with that.
Yeah. But also had to rob a grocery store for money. I don't know, kind of weird.
I know a lot of the backstory here isn't really making sense.
Shocker.
I'm
still pissed they dyed his hair blonde. I thought that was a weird choice.
Wait, his hair wasn't blonde?
In real life, it's brown. It's like, yeah, he's Hispanic.
Oh.
Yeah. Here they dyed it like red blonde, like orange blonde or whatever.
Oh yeah, I guess I always thought his hair kind of looked like that.
No. Anywho.
Meanwhile, oh yeah, Joey is fiddling with the jukebox, but it explodes because it's not having any. I guess that's that machine's way of getting revenge on humans, is like, oh, you like music? Fuck off. Just explodes. Yeah. That'll show you. That'll show you for enjoying the sounds of I don't know, Elvis Costello or Art Garfunkel
or AC/DC.
Who are they? Are they a band?
Yeah.
Do they do the soundtrack for any famous movies?
I believe it's a unit of power, or
isn't it two different ones?
Yeah,
it's like alternating current and direct current.
So you do know.
Never heard of it. Anyways, Wanda June is now drunk and raving about how we made them.
Yeah, weird.
So they can't do this because we made them. And she decides to go out and yell at them about how they can't do this because we made you. And I put in my notes that they are the created, because I remember playing Halo 5. Is that Halo 5 or Halo 4? One of the Halos, like when all of the AI were rebelling.
Yeah.
Don't worry, you don't have to remember, because now they did 343. They just like blew past that.
I think it was 4.
It's all the same. Anyways, Bill pulls her inside just as a truck approaches. And then all the truck horns start to blare together in unison at once. And then the power in the diner flashes and then goes out. Were they responsible for that? Yes. At least I think so.
The answer is yes.
What's the thing is, the movie doesn't explain how, but apparently they did. That's part of their alien machine powers.
I'm telling you.
But yeah, in the dark, everyone's just trying to make the best out of a bad situation. Notably, it seems like the newlyweds, Connie and Curtis, are having their own little love train in the corner by themselves. They're just being lovey-dovey in the corner. Everyone else is like, playing card games or they're just doing stuff. Like, people are just doing stuff in the dark. It's kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
There's a weird, pseudo philosophical question that Brett asks if it'll be their world again tomorrow, and Bill's like, was it ever? It's like, okay, yeah, dude. Right. Like, yeah, that's definitely freshman level philosophy right there.
Yeah.
Like, get out of here.
It's definitely prison reading.
And some guy says he hates trucks. It's like, yeah, man, like, me too. It's terrible for the environment, the way that we use fossil fuels the way we do in order to fuel.
You know what? That was Andy. We're going to say that was Andy.
You think that was Andy?
Yeah, because he gets murked with a machine gun, so there's never a point at which anyone could argue with us.
So many of the people who get murked with machine guns are unnamed. It's hard for you to even know who they are.
Like, they added people to that diner, I swear to God.
What was that?
Like, they added people to the diner for that scene.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there were like extras that like weren't in the diner the whole time.
Someone just walked in and it's like, hey, you're getting a machine gun today. It's like, whoa, cool. Yeah. Let me text my mom. Wait, this was 1986. You couldn't text your mom. Wait, where are you from, boy? This is from the future because he could text his mom. Anyways, cut that out. That wasn't a very funny joke.
I'm leaving it.
No, not again. Meanwhile, sudden
Not
screaming.
Like this.
Not like this. The only thing you ever quote from The Matrix.
It's good.
Anyway, smash cut to sudden screaming, which Brett immediately identifies as the Bible salesman, Camp Loman, still out there in the ravine. He's apparently not dead, just mostly. Curtis is way more than willing to go out there to try to save the guy. Probably because his wife sucks. But Bill explains that you can't get there from here. And he says it in the most weird way possible. He's like, remember the old joke? You can't get there from here? It's like, what? But anyways, the important thing is Bill has an idea how to get to him. Outside, Deke has returned. And this time he's able to pull the grate off of the end of a pipe and he's going through it. And I don't know if it's the same pipe from earlier, if this is a different pipe, because it seems like this is just a pipe that goes across the road, not into the building, correct?
Yes.
Well, it must be because he doesn't go into the building. He goes
Yeah, it
across
doesn't
the road.
really. Yeah, it doesn't really like get into that.
I think don't worry about it. We'll get into it. Anyways, he is troubled by how loud the trucks are overhead while he is crawling under the road. But he's still able to pass through. That doesn't incapacitate him permanently.
Oh, you meant Deke. Yeah, that just crosses the road.
Yeah, did I say Bill?
I thought we were talking about the pipe where
No, where Bill and
no.
My
bad.
So I was talking about because Deke earlier tried to do the pipe that would have gone into the building with the crate on it. But this one, he's able to get the grate off because it's not as strong. And that's because this pipe only goes across the road. It's just from one end of the road to the other.
Right.
And it's going to bring him to where the shower one comes out, which we'll find out in a second. Spoiler alert, Bill's idea is to go through the showers. Smash cut. Bill explains that the shower drains run to the... It's literally my next note. These shower drains run to the ravine where Camp Loman is trapped. I don't think they ever say his name either, do they? They only call him the Bible salesman. They never call him Camp Loman. So it's kind of weird that I keep calling him by his name because it's in the credits that way. Connie tries to stop Curtis from going, but he insists on accompanying Bill, probably because she sucks. Bubba says something about how they are crazy to do this, at which point Bill calls him a fuckhead. Bill's really showing his his rebellious streak to his boss now that there's a global machine apocalypse. Real tough when there's machines coming to life, huh, buddy? Bill and Curtis sneak over to the shower house pretty much without incident. They kind of like stealth move through some car areas and get there. So they go to tie like a rope up to use to go into the drain. While those who are about to rock, we salute you plays. Which I thought was kind of a funny like needle drop. Like, why not? Go for it, ACDC.
That was good. It was good.
Yeah, because they're about to rock straight into that shower drain. And then
we do salute them.
We certainly do. And honestly, this is kind of a very whimsical scene, which are some of the, like, unexpectedly, I think Stephen King writes very good whimsical scenes as Bill and Curtis move through the water. Where Curtis is like, I wonder how many people have peed in this. And then Bill slips and Curtis is like, how's it taste? And then Bill
was that meant to happen?
I don't know. Like, it's hard to tell. It seems like something Stephen King would write, but it's also seems like something Stephen King would leave in the movie if they ad-libbed it because he thinks it's funny.
He's also obsessed with pee, so like... Also.
Well, Bill retaliates he comes around a corner and there's a rat walking. He's like, hey, Curtis, I found you a friend. I'm sending him to you. And he's like, ah! Look, it's just... That's what I mean. This is kind of like a funny moment, and this is started the bromance that will become the remainder of the movie, which is Bill and Curtis basically being bros. At least whenever they have scenes together, which is not nearly enough in my opinion. Yeah, so outside, Deke has crawled through the drainage pipe and is now on the other side of the road and in the same ravine where Bible salesman Camp Loman landed. Deke goes to him and tries to wake him up. He listens to his chest, thinking that he must be dead. However, when he turns around to leave, Camp Loman sits up and grabs him by the leg. And this is like one of those moments where it's like, how despicable can you make a single Bible salesman? Because he wants Deke to pull him out. Deke's like, hey, I'm a child. Like, and you're a very large man. Like, what do you expect? And Camp threatens to murder him if he doesn't. So Deke yells for Bill, who coincidentally just came through a pipe near them and is ready and does get to him in time. Which, by the way, this isn't actually the worst Bible salesman that Stephen King has ever written, in my opinion. Do you want to know which one is?
What is the worst one?
Greg Stilson from The Dead Zone.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because he kicks a dog to death, and that really upset me. You can cut that if you want. No one likes to hear that, but I was like, man, this guy sucks. I hope that he gets destroyed by Johnny Smith with his Dead Zone powers.
I love when you're like, hey, you should cut that, or you should do it, because it just makes me want to not do it. You know?
Okay. So I should just say like really offensive shit and then just like not say anything, and then you won't cut it.
Pretty much.
Then you will cut it. Like, yes, fine.
I kind of have to.
Well, I just mean like people don't like to hear about dead dogs, but
yeah, I know. It's just funny. You're just always like, oh, you just cut this. It's like, all right, dude.
Yep, sure. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. Maybe this gets louder and there's some effects. And
anyhow, Bill gets to Deke, but Camp is already dead. But they also attracted the attention of a truck that is coming after them. But Curtis, Bill, and Deke all flee back into the pipe. So they get out of there. What is it? They get all the way back to the shower room. Because I guess this is how truck stops used to work, is like what? They have a shower building, the diner / gas station / truck stop building. So that's why there's two buildings, right?
yes.
All right, cool. But they're in the shower building when Deke asks Bill if his dad is okay. Ugh, bad news. He's dead, but Bill's not ready to talk about that. So he just like kind of skirts the issue. It's like, uncool, dude. Like, you should tell this kid his dad got splatted by a truck. But whenever we get back to the other side, not missing any opportunity to be as annoying as possible, Connie is making a fuss about how the truck must have killed them and they're all dead. And Brett says that they're okay, which prompts Connie to just annoyingly yell, then where are they? Like,
yeah.
Oh my God. And then the second she screams that, they emerge from the shower house. Like, oh man, that character sucks so bad. I feel bad because like the actress this is not her fault. I believe this is the direction she received, but too much. But yeah, anyways, the truck is approaching them. But Bill stops and shoots it with a rocket launcher, which I didn't realize he had, but he did. And everyone cheers and congratulates Bill, including Curtis, who is now, like I said, his BFF. So I assume that he had the rocket launcher at the front of the gas station. So when they snuck by and got to the gas station, he just grabbed it and turned around and fired then. But
yeah, I think
he couldn't have carried that all the way into the shower train. So
no, he did. That was the bag.
Oh, it was in the bag with him. Okay.
Yeah, that's why I was like, oh, it's so heavy. You're right. Yeah, he brought it with him.
Okay, yeah. But anyways, he didn't use it until he got back to the building. So he turned around and blasted that thing. That's what I mean. His Curtis's reaction to that is like, oh, I guess they're like now bros. Like it's hard to explain, but it definitely seems like that. But once again, Deke asks the hard question, which is, where's my dad? And Bubba, being the absolute piece of human trash he is, says he got scrubbed by one of the big boys out there. Like, Jesus, dude. Like, you could have said it a different way. That's his dad. Brett calls him an unbelievable shithead, which is another Stephen Kingism. Unbelievable shithead. Deke has a bit of a freak out, but Bill comforts him while Brett takes it upon herself to slap Bubba. So smash cut to morning. Everyone's just kind of laying about and sleeping or whatever. Deke's playing with bubbles, which whatever, it's kid stuff, right? It's bubbles. But oh, what's this? 2 new trucks are on the way. One is a bulldozer and the other is a platform truck with a machine gun on it. That can't be serious, right?
Yeah, when this happened, I'm like, oh, okay. This is like
the trucks are like, we just need guns now.
Yeah. It's like,
but here's the thing. They should only have one clip because they can't reload.
Like, yeah, well, I mean, we figure out what else they can't do either soon. So
We will find out.
let's reproduce.
And then this is when there's a guy who comes out that I'm convinced was not in the rest of the movie. He throws open like the saloon style doors to the back so hard that the windows on the door break. I guess they're not saloon style doors, like serving doors, like from like a kitchen. Yeah. He's like, "What the fuck is going on here?" Like cartoonishly as possible. Never saw that character ever.
I'm telling you, they brought some of these guys on to get shot.
Seriously, dude, he had to have like no idea because he has like a bright green shirt and he has like crazy hair. I'm like, who is this guy? Meanwhile, the bulldozer pushes. Is it a car? Is it Bubba's car that he pushes into the diner?
Yeah, it like clears out. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep,
pushes that into the diner to like basically wreck that wall, kind of break a bunch of windows. Promised Bubba to go out with the rocket launcher, and he rockets right from inside of the restaurant, which is probably not chill. But he launches the rocket, destroys the bulldozer. Bulldozer's dead. But he didn't think it through because clearly there's still a machine gun truck there, which starts blasting. And guess who it gets first?
Old ketchup chest.
It gets Bubba. Then it gets the loudmouth patron who broke the door, and then a few other random patrons that we don't really know very well, which very, very much possible that they just were brought in for the scene.
I would agree.
So you think that those machine gun bullet holes on them looked fake?
Yeah, well, especially on Bubba. Like, they look good on the other extras that got shot.
Yeah, on Bubba, they look pretty fake. Yeah.
It was kind of weird. I'm like, why does this look so bad?
Yeah, because I thought that, like,
doing?
Especially that loudmouth random dude, he just got like, blah, 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 blah. Like, he did a really good, like, Sonny Corleone, you know? Like, he just,
yeah,
like,
right. Yeah.
But yeah, anyways. And then the gun growls at the end.
Yeah.
Which is problematic because it let a lot of people on the internet believe that it must have been controlled by an alien. It's like, no, there's not an invisible alien there. This isn't Predator.
No, it's definitely the Jeep, which is a Willys, and then it honks in Morse code. So it's like, okay.
Yeah, no, it's the truck doing it, but it's like people are like, oh no, there's an invisible alien on that. It's like, no, there isn't, guys. Like, stop reading things into the movie that aren't there. But then guess what? Wanda June, finally, she's at the edge of her rope. She goes and grabs the rocket launcher and goes outside screaming frequently about how the trucks can't do this because we made you. But of course they can do it, Shane. And they do. She's riddled with bullets and she fires a stray rocket into a Miller Lite truck and just like blows that shit up. I'm like, man, did Miller Lite pay for like product placement in this? Because
they had to.
They just got blasted.
Yeah. Well, so what I don't understand, she had a lot of time to shoot the other vehicle, but chose not to.
Yeah, she was too busy having a character moment.
Yep.
She had to freak out about how we made them, so therefore they cannot do this.
Yeah.
Because let me tell you how well that worked for Dr. Frankenstein. Am I right?
Oh.
Poorly. It's a book. It's very common. It went very poorly for him.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so like the truck, the machine gun truck starts honking a horn in patterns, which Deke recognizes Morse code because he has a scout badge in it or something. Deke writes it down, which it amounts to the truck saying they just want to be fed, so anyone who fuels them up will be permitted to live. So if you fuel them up,
yeah, pretty much,
you can live. Is that I mean, that's the basic gist of the message. Yep. There's some table talk about this. Like one of the guys is like, we should let them starve. And then Joey is like, they can't refuel without power. At which point the power comes back on. It's like, Joey, shut the hell up, dude.
Damn it, Joey.
Yeah. But Bill decides to go turn on the pumps. and Brett follows him and accuses him of being a Neville Chamberlain, which I thought was
Yeah.
pretty funny.
That was pretty good. That was good.
Yeah, but Bill's like, he believes the trucks won't kill him if they think he's there to help them. He's like, they're like a junkie trying to run down his connection, so they will not hurt any of us as long as they need us. And it's a pretty cool scene because like Bill comes out, he like covers Wanda June's corpse, and then he moves towards the trucks, and the gun, like the machine gun on the platform, is following him as he walks closer. I thought that was a really cool shot because it like zooms out while he's moving closer and the gun is turning. Like, I thought it was really good. That's what I'm saying. Like, good. I think that Stephen King is actually a solid director, but he'll never do it again because this is poorly received. He goes up to the Green Goblin truck and tells him to alert the other vehicles that he's got the main line open for business. So don't kill us. And that machine, like the Green Goblin truck, revs up menacingly so that you know it gets it, but it's also like still a dick.
Right.
Hell's Bells starts playing because why not? And
There's
that is
30-minute fucking gas station, them pumping gas.
Them pumping gas montage.
Jesus Christ.
Over Hell's Bells.
It's like, we understand how gas works, guys. Like, please stop.
Well, I think the point of it was how like the highway was full of all the trucks lining up for it.
Right.
And it's like nothing but trucks, which
yeah.
Like, imagine the ecological damage that does to have that many trucks to slay for this like gratuitous fueling scene. There's like no one on the other side of the interstate highway, just only on the one side. And it's really crazy because like, what is it? Like everyone gets in on it. Like Brett's doing it, Bill's doing it, Deke's doing it. He even like gives one the bird. Like, I don't know if they can see, man, but if you do that, they're gonna be pissed. Like every other character that I don't really know is also doing it. But like I actually enjoyed, there's a shot later where Brett is relieved of duty and she goes to walk back and leans against like a kind of a flatbed truck, and then it kind of pans up to see the highway lined with trucks on their way in, which was pretty, I thought it was a pretty cool shot, like a pretty cool moment. Like, honestly, like I know how frustrating it is to just watch people like pump gas, but the idea that they were getting so like tired just from doing that all day for these trucks is kind of cool. But they finally run out, and Bill goes to deliver the bad news, which results in like a crescendo of truck horns. And
right.
Right? Yeah. And then like, one of them gets like up close to him and gets like kind of ornery. He's like, "What do you want me to do?" And I was like, "Yeah, what do you want to do?" And then as that one pushed him, it was pushing him towards like, what do you call like where the gas tanks are underground at a gas station? Because I was calling it a cistern in my notes, but I don't know if it's called a cistern or if that's just water.
Nah, I usually just call like a tank.
Yeah, okay, it's just a tank, yeah. So, and the ornery truck was a fuel truck. It was like, fill them up, baby. I got that juice you want. So yeah, he has to like then go and like fill it up. But like Bill's like basically passing out while he's doing it. So Handy rolls in and officers take over for him. So Handy like sets it up correctly and then like carries Bill towards the inside. And Bill's like, "The trucks don't understand what it's like to be tired. They're not human." Like, I don't understand what it's like to run out of gas. They understand the basic concept, but sure.
Right.
But yeah, Handy's talking about a potential escape through the shower pipe that they used to find Deke. But while they're talking about this escape plan, the gun truck rolls up and just points the gun at them and be like, "What are you guys
right, like,
what are you guys up to over here? What are you guys being so secretive about?"
Yeah, right.
And then Bill says something, or no, Handy says something like, "Oh, I guess coffee break is over," or whatever.
Yeah.
And then just goes back. So like, and then Bill like then leans on Brett to go inside, and he like gives his whole conspiracy theory that this is a broom. Aliens are using a broom to like wipe us off the earth so the aliens can have a new place to live. Which I was like, I guess he's just really tired. He's come up with nonsense ideas. Spoiler alert. The ending of the movie is going to kind of bear that through, like it's being actually happened.
We'll get there. Jesus.
Yeah. But yeah, at that point, like people have been cycling in and out. So Bill goes out to talk to one of the guys who's fueling up the trucks. The gun truck is not pleased and is training the gun on them over this. And Bill tells the gun truck, "Hey, this is people business."
Right.
It's like, you don't know how much this truck understands. But then Bill like basically tells the guys like, "Hey, when I say run, you run." And then when he says run, he takes out a grenade, like throws it down, spins the gun head, and then says run, and they both run away as the gun truck explodes. Success, right?
Kind of.
It is, because they are going into the ground. Of course, Connie can't miss an opportunity to be annoying. She's complaining about spiders and how delicate she is, and don't you drop her. And they're all going into the basement, where there is a way through to the very far side where Deke first went. So they're finding a way out through the very bottom of the building. I just want to talk about how Connie couldn't help being annoying one more time.
Unreal.
Yeah. So the trucks, believing the humans have stopped cooperating, start to crash into the truck stop and the diner and everything. By then, all of the people have crossed through the drainage pipe across to that far side where Deke first went. And this is where it gets kind of spiteful. Like, that bulldozer is just like taking out the truck stop sign and runs over a random car and like takes out like the gas station roof. Like, also, this roof sucks. Just like taking it down. And there's a truck that has liquid oxygen, which crashed into the building and was hissing. And the main truck leaders, primarily Goblin truck, but also like the trash truck. That's hard to say. The trash truck and then another truck, like, all are like fleeing from the area, knowing that the liquid oxygen truck is about to explode. Because guess what? It does.
It sure does.
It takes out that entire thing.
So like, it like blows everything up, and like, so they just find another like trapped group of people in a gas station so they don't run out of fuel.
That's what I mean. Like, there's several gas stations, and that one was it the tow truck that killed the guy who was at the gas station that Connie and Curtis first went to. You basically just wasted that dude. He was like useful to you. I feel like not all trucks are as smart as all other trucks. Green Goblin truck is pretty smart. Machine gun truck is pretty smart.
Or like they learned over time, maybe. Like, oh shit, we can't keep doing this.
They didn't think about it until they were running out of gas. It's like, oh, wait a minute, we haven't killed all the humans yet. Yeah, that makes sense. But anyways, so where are we at? Oh yeah, explosion, a grand explosion. It was so cool. And then we cut to everyone running along single file beside the road, unadvisable when your enemies are road bound. It says they're 1 mile from the marina. The marina, Shane, is where you get a boat. But of course, after they pass, not far behind, is Green Goblin truck. This is where we get the shot that we were talking about earlier that pays off.
Right.
So it's a school bus with a plane that had crashed right into the top of it.
Like directly
into the top of it. So it's like basically like that plane saw like Deke and was like, I could get that kid, or I could get like 14 kids. Or I guess how many kids are there in a bus? Probably more than that.
I don't know. More than one.
Probably like, yeah, definitely more than one. So it's like, I'm going to get the most kids I can. So it's just so funny. Like later on, we see the plane in a school bus. It's like, oh man, so good. Then
so like this scene I thought was kind of weird. So like they're like rolling up to like the marina, and they all have like machine guns, like Uzis, like submachine guns. And they're like, what the fuck? Like, what is this gonna do against anything? But we'll get there. But
yeah, why they didn't have like a rocket launcher with them?
Yeah.
Well, it's gonna do all right actually. But they're near like a fast food restaurant, and it starts to announce humans here, humans here, humans here over the speaker from the drive-through. And Deke walks up and he's like, this is for my father, and like machine guns it. I'm like, that's not what killed your father, dude. It was the truck. Like, what? How is this for your father? Whatever.
He's like, I don't want this anymore.
Yeah, Deke's just like, I'm done handling a gun. What am I, a school student in the post 2005 days? Whenever the assault weapons ban ran out.
Yeah. Yep.
Timely. Anyways, sudden ice cream truck. There's an ice cream truck along the way. It is the mighty tasty one, just so you know.
Mm-hmm.
Curtis goes out to shoot at it, but apparently he's terrible at shooting, so Brett goes out and also shoots. It doesn't put up much of a fight. It just kind of drives forward until it's destroyed. It's like, oh man, great victory. You really killed that ice cream truck, guys.
Yeah, the flammable ice cream trucks that are always driving around.
If there's one thing I know about ice cream trucks is that they actually can survive explosions.
That's what I thought too. The Terenzi brothers, like,
yeah, they got out of there. I can't believe that this one got killed. But anyways, the group arrives at the marina again with the Green Goblin truck nearing, but they don't know that yet. And we see another dead body of someone, and they were like rolled up in the car window, like it had like gone up on their throat them. And like killed them. Yeah. It's like I think I thought about that. I was like, oh man, that reminds me of how my first car when I was in like high school was a Pontiac Sunfire. It's like, and that had manual windows, baby. You got to roll them up. There's no way that was gonna kill me.
Yeah,
so
that was a good car.
You remember it?
From my freshman year.
Oh yeah, that's true. You were there. You did see it before it perished.
I've been in it.
You know, it actually didn't perish. We sold it. It is owned by somebody else in Titusville as we speak.
We need to get it back.
No, it can stay. It can stay out. Anyways, that's it for Pontiac Sunfire's talk. There is, what is it? I was like, oh, in my notes I put, one of the guys stops to take the ring from the lady who's rolled up in the window because her hand's out and there's a ring on her finger. And it's a big diamond. And it's fucking Brad. Damn it, Brad. What are you doing? That's what you get for being the mayor in Eight-Legged Freaks. So
say you're never going to make it in your political campaign now, Brad.
Well, the thing that was funny is like I put in my notes, the guy's named Brad based on Brett asking where Brad is. But of course, he doesn't hear the stealthy lack of sound of the Green Goblin semi-truck, which is now there right by them.
Right.
Literally beside them. How did it get there without making a noise? It is not a hybrid vehicle. Doesn't matter. It's there. It turns on its lights. It charges in and it obliterates Brad.
Instantly.
Yeah. Like, yeah, totally like smashes him right over its Green Goblin forehead. But Bill, of course, comes out and launches a missile. And he's like, hey, what's his line? Like, adios, motherfucker. And like fires it. Like that's his like yippee-ki-yay line.
Yeah.
Hits the Green Goblin truck, exploding it, satisfyingly. That's a good explosion. And then as the group go to sail away, we get this is where like when they're trying to cut the lines, that's when I found out that the blade that Brett carries is called Mother's Helper or whatever, because he's like, can I have Mother's Helper? And then she hands him the blade so he can cut the lines from shore so they can sail away.
It was annoying. All they had to do is just lift that rope off of that pier and it would have been fine.
I know. That's how like boats work. Have they never, like he said he worked on a boat and no wonder he got fired.
I know. I'm like, this dipshit. Like, and then there's no way that knife's that sharp.
Well, it probably would be, but it'd take a while. Those are thick ropes that take a long time. Like I mean, it's like no wonder he got fired from the boat he worked on. This dude sucks at his job. So yeah, they're sailing away during a triumphant Who Made Who reprise. The surprisingly large number of survivors. It's like what? Bill, Brett, Deke, Curtis, Connie, Joey, one angry shop hand who wasn't Duncan or Joey. He lived. The one I was wondering about was Handy though, because I didn't see Handy on the boat at the end. And I looked it up and I didn't see him in the death list. Like, where's Handy?
I thought he was on the boat. I don't know.
I didn't see him. I like replayed that scene a few times. I didn't see him.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to believe Handy survived. It'd be really cool if like the man who piloted the Green Goblin truck lived to see another day.
Right.
Yeah, but then Deke is like, after that, like Deke is like, oh, you think that we're going to be okay? And Bill's like, yeah, we're gonna be okay. Whatever. As the group sails off, there's a closing text block that tells us that a UFO was killed in space by a Russian quote unquote weather satellite that happened to be equipped with a laser cannon and a class 4 nuclear missile.
Yeah, it was.
It's like, okay,
like,
it's a good bit.
Yeah. Good job.
It's a good pre-Cold War ending bit. The comet passed by 6 days later as expected, and the Dixie Boy truck stop survivors remained survivors. So in case we were wondering if they're killed while at sea by other machines, nope, they got out.
Or Bill's ineptitude.
Yeah. But Bill's ineptitude. But of course, we needed one more scene of Connie being annoying as shit. So she complains about being seasick during
Barfs.
the end. Yeah, in barfs. Like, it's great. Cool. Thanks for that. And then the closing credits are You Shook Me All Night Long. Probably AC/DC's most popular song. What do you think their most popular song is?
TNT.
Is it Dynamite?
Yeah, or Highway to Hell, maybe. I don't think it's You Shook Me All Night Long.
I feel like they played You Shook Me All Night Long at like every wedding I've ever been to.
Give me 1 second.
Do it.
We'll see what Spotify has to say. Oh, Thunderstruck for sure. Never mind.
Oh, it is Thunderstruck.
It's I'm an idiot. Okay, so according to AC/DC's like Spotify, Back in Black is 1.38 billion plays. I always forget about Back in Black. I don't know why. Highway to Hell is 1.37 billion. Thunderstruck is 1.3 billion. And then You Shook Me All Night Long hasn't hit the billion mark yet. Apparently, I just hit puberty in the middle of that fucking sentence too. So,
zoinks! I don't know. This one website I looked at said the top 10 biggest song was "Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap."
That was huge, man. That was big in the 70s.
I guess it depends on the metric. Like if it's the biggest song,
I'm on the metric of people.
What's being streamed now? Yeah,
actively listened to. So
but I was looking at chart topping.
Yeah.
In any case, AC/DC has a lot of hits, is what we're trying to say. That's the podcast point.
Show us your hits.
Anyways,
it's one of the best greatest hits albums ever from Bloodhound Gang. Just show us your hits. You ever seen that? It's hilarious.
So you can listen to all 3 of their hits.
Hey, all 4.
Anyways, so that is the plot description of Maximum Overdrive. Wow. All right, now what do we do?
McMurder of the movie.
McMurder of the movie, you say?
Okay, so
go on.
I'm gonna make a case for one,
and I'll reject
it's not my McMurder of the movie.
Okay,
but it should be, because we're not doing cars. We're taking the cars out, right?
Yeah, machines. No, not machines.
Okay, all right. So whenever Kurt and what's her name? What's the
Brett? Or no, Connie.
Connie. Thank you, Connie. So when Kurt and Connie try to shoot the gap and the car gets flipped over, the ceremonious, like, because they definitely killed their car, the ceremonious horn blare from all the trucks around there, I thought was hilarious. Like, we have won.
R.I.P.
Yeah, but
like we had to kill one of our own for this.
I think we have the same McMurder of the movie again.
Do you think so?
Dude, how could it not be this one?
Is it the kid run over by a steamroller?
It's the steamroll kid.
It's so hard to choose between that and the guy being murdered by a vending machine, because both of those are awesome kills.
Dude, flat. So my number 3 was, so number 1 was steamroll kid. Number 2 was the car horn. And number 3 was the dog with the toy in its mouth.
You didn't even have the guy getting murdered by the vending machine on your list?
I mean, it was such low hanging fruit when it hit him in the nuts, and everyone's like, "Ooh."
Yeah, but then
I
it
don't know.
murdered him.
Yeah, and then I guess right after that, a kid got fucking just trampled by a steamroller. So I guess it didn't live with me as much as it did with you, I guess.
It didn't hit as hard with you that this guy was murdered by the machine gun throw of, well, okay, so it was like a shotgun throw to him as a machine gun throw and killed 2 children. This
Yeah,
vending machine had a higher kill death than most humans will have,
right.
but
This kid's using cheats. He's hacking.
it's hacks. But no, I think I have to agree with you though. It's gotta be Steamroller. Like, what is that? Like
Didn't expect it.
that was not what I thought I was gonna see on like the day I saw it, which isn't even recently. Like, that was a long time ago. So I feel
It
like
stuck with you.
McMurder the movie, like if it was the one that I think is the best, it would probably be the machine gun, you know, attack of the vending machine. But if it has to be like just the overall best kill, it's definitely just like watching some random kid wreck his bike and they just get mowed down by a steamroller.
Yeah, that's my vote.
So it's Steamroller of a Child is what we're gonna call it.
Steamroller.
All right. Let's put that on the website. Steamrolling of a Child is our McMurder the movie.
Hey, speaking of running over kids with steamrollers, what's next?
Amazing transition. Next up is our
Judgment categories.
transition music, random stuff. Anyways, our judgment categories, as always, are these 5, which are story, which we include writing in, acting, effects, music, which includes sound design, and then the cult factor. The cult factor being that little X factor that makes these movies so good. So what do you think for story?
I like it. I I think A. I think it's minus the stupid ending. Like, we killed an alien with a nuke laser rifle satellite or something. Like, if you took that out of it, I think it's a cool story, right?
We didn't. The Ruskies did.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. I like, maybe you could probably talk me to B, but I'm really feeling A because it's unique. There's a lot of Comet movies, but this one I felt like just it did something different, right? And Stephen King's great at this stuff, so I'd go A.
That's the thing that's interesting is the characters are also super interesting and their stories kind of
Yeah.
feel naturalistic, even if sometimes they can be frustrating or annoying. It's like a majority of the people in that like truck stop are just kind of like, oh yeah, we're just gonna hang out for this. But then you have like Bill who like unexpectedly like shows up to lead. You know, the boss who was sleazy then and he remains sleazy. And like he acts like the world is just the same as it always has been, even during this
Right.
crazy crisis, which is how people in power always try to hold on to power, is by pretending that nothing has changed. But like it's just so interesting the dynamics between the characters, which isn't hurt by the fact that Connie, the newlywed, that wife half of the newlywed couple, is absolutely abysmal and annoying, and I hated every second of her on screen. But that doesn't hurt the fact that I think it's very well written. I think the plot is interesting. I think there's a mystery and an unknown there throughout most of it that is not, like you said, harmed by that last little bit where the text tells us that a Russian satellite atomic bombed a UFO. So yeah, no, I can go A. I'm fine with that.
Fair enough.
Next.
Oh, one thing I wanted to say.
Oh,
Just about, so I brought up earlier about how I'm like, you were saying like, this is definitely a Stephen King story. And I'm like, in my brain, I'm like, this is definitely a Stephen King film adaptation, whether it's television or feature length. One of my favorite things that he does, and I don't know why he does this, I love it, because, when he visualizes a lot of these, stories, I see him thinking this way, but it's hard to convey that through writing. And almost every one of his movies or television, like miniseries or whatever, he has a shot with almost all of the actors in it doing something, looking from an angle like out at like off distance, like away from the camera. Like everyone, Langoliers, they do it. It's crazy. Like it's just, I mean, not every single one, but a majority of them. So like, even if you look at the trailer thumbnail for Maximum Overdrive, it's where Emilio Estevez is drinking and he has like the blood on his shirt. And then all of them are like, there's like some sort of like, I don't know, it's like a candid shot. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And he does that stuff in like a ton of his movies. I wouldn't say all of them, but like a ton of them. And I love that. I think it's so cool. Like to me, that's like his stamp. Like visually, he does that all the time, which is cool.
Well, Stephen King isn't usually involved in that though, so it's like his writing that founds that idea.
That's what I mean. Like, but that's like a visual representation of how I, like in my mind, I'm like, that's probably how he sees that scene when he writes it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he writes an ensemble cast in a novel in a way that no one else can.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is why I actually love Mike Flanagan's Dr. Sleep, which is the most recent and best, in my opinion, adaptation of Stephen King's work. So good.
I haven't seen that yet. I'll have to watch it.
Oh yeah, you have to watch that. It's so good. He has to like blend between like The Shining the novel and The Shining the movie and create like Dr. Sleep that's supposed to be like a sequel to the book, obviously, but the movie is what's in everyone's cultural consciousness. So he like finds a way to blend them together in a very satisfying way, in my opinion anyway.
Very cool.
Next up, acting.
Why don't you kick it off?
Well, everyone is actually pretty good. Like I can believe the personalities. I can believe the conflicts that arise. Like, some broad strokes, but when you have a large ensemble cast, you have to use like, you only have like this movie's 98 minutes, something like that. Like you have a lot of time. You have to like make this work. But Connie sucks so bad. It's so hard to like know if I had to put that on acting or on writing, but like at the end of the day, I had to put on acting. It's her performance. So like I'm gonna have to say B. I think that Connie drags it down for me.
Yeah, Connie was tough. A couple scenes between Brett and Bill were hard to kind of like. Emilio Estevez has that weird seriousness that he always has. Sometimes I don't think it helps scenes, especially when it's like, there's some kind of like dialogue happening.
Well, he wasn't Stephen King's first choice for the role of Bill either. So
I believe it
factors into it.
Who was it?
It's actually Bruce Springsteen.
Oh my, never mind. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
This man needs to be stopped.
He was stopped.
Yeah, he was. And yeah, well, I think, and then the supporting actors did a great job. I agree with B.
Yeah. Honestly, the supporting cast kept it from going lower for me. Because Connie being a main character is like devastatingly awful.
Yep.
So yeah. Next up is effects or effects. FX? Effects.
FX. I'm gonna go A. And the only time I was pissed was the ketchup chest, the blood scene. I don't know if it was bad lighting. They didn't film it correctly. It was pretty bad. But then like the next shot were like really good body shots on the actors, like the extras. So but think of all the remote control stuff they did with the trucks. You know, all the effects they did with the explosions. The drain stuff was really cool, like because it's practical. Everything's practical. The set pieces were great. Yeah, I'd go A, but
That's why, like, all my life, I actually believed that they had like a way to drive the vehicles with drivers that you just couldn't see them. I thought it was like a trick.
Mhm.
And then to find out they use radio controlled vehicles for everything and they frequently broke down is like, what? You guys like did that? Like, it's so crazy to me. So yeah, honestly, like the idea they put that much effort into it is definitely a huge thing in their direction. The only thing I will put against them is Giancarlo Esposito's death, where they animated the electricity there.
Yeah.
But that happened so early in the movie and it's done so fast and there's so much that happens afterwards that I'm willing to forgive it. So I'm good with A.
Plus, there's a plane that crashes into a bus. So
I love it when children have planes crash into them.
okay,
It's my favorite thing.
I've heard.
But no, yeah, that's like one of the things that kind of goes back to like if we had a section for directing, which I don't think we have that because neither you nor I are prepared to judge direction in that way. But something like that, which is like a piece of like story continuity that you use and you show it and you don't even point it out and you just move on is like such a move. It's such a move. And that's why I think it's such a good moment, but there's nowhere really to put in that. So
Yeah, I feel like if you do directors, I think that's tough because there is a lot of, because the director has their hands in everything, right?
true.
And I think it's like, to me, like I think the overall success of the movie says more about the director than it does like specifically, you know, because like, and you can get into a ton of arguments with people. So like, and I'll pick on Quentin Tarantino. So like, is he a director? Yes. Is he a filmmaker? Yes. So when does that line blur, right? And I think that's the major difference because you have people that are directors that maybe wouldn't classify themselves as filmmakers. You know what I mean? Like Guillermo del Toro is like a astounding filmmaker and director. Christopher Nolan, like same thing. Then I feel like you have other people that are so good at realizing someone else's story, right? So maybe they're not the filmmaker, but they're able to realize it through doing other things. So, yeah, I think it's a tough category to
Yeah, there are limits to how far like a creative vision can expand and how much also the studio gets involved too, because that'll happen.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll stay out of direction, even though I do think that Stephen King is way too hard on himself and that his direction is quite good in this.
Oh, it's phenomenal.
But that isn't
I
a
loved it.
category. Oh, sorry. What were you gonna say?
No, I loved it. It was good.
Oh yeah, so good. But anyways, that's not a category though, so we will move on to what is a category, which is music or sound design.
You know what? I usually do this. Why don't you give it a shot, give it a stab?
Well, when it started out, I was like very like much like, this could use a synth. I need some more synth in there. But as it went on, I'm like, no, that's not the world I'm in right now. I'm in a world of like, you know, heavy guitars, 80s metal. Like I'm in a world of trucks. And so I was just like transported by it. So like I actually thought that the music was quite good. I actually could have used fewer needle drops and more like original like instrumental compositions.
Yeah.
So and like sound design in particular, like the trucks like just dominated every scene that they're in, and when they blow their horns, like I felt the way that, you know, the people felt, which is like that's overwhelming.
Yeah.
So it's hard not to give an A, but I kind of want to give a B just because of the needle drops, like just using like classic AC/DC songs and not doing more instrumental work, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, that's tough. I actually I agree with you. I like the AC/DC stuff, but it's like, yeah, everyone can do cool shit and put an AC/DC song behind it, right? You know, like I feel like you're right. There wasn't a lot of atmosphere building they could have done. Um, yeah, I don't know. I'll stick with your gut. But I could lean towards B on this for sure. Because like, you know, you can't give them an A just because AC/DC did the soundtrack and they're a great band, right?
Right.
So like, good for them. Like their success has nothing, like it's not, you know what I mean? Like it's, so I think taking AC/DC out, like if it wasn't a well-known popular band with like basically using their like major hits from the mid 80s, I think the music would have fell flat, right?
I would
It
agree.
would have,
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm cool with B.
All right. B it is.
Oh yeah.
And then finally, for our fifth and final judgment category is Cult Factor. I mean, I'm wearing a t-shirt of it. I have to say A. Like
Wearing a t-shirt, yeah.
I can't, yeah, what am I supposed to do? Just wear a t-shirt of thing and say, no, it's a C for Cult Factor.
Yeah.
Like, no, I've said it before, like, if there was more of the very beginning or more of the very end, this movie would be unquestionably on everyone's list. It's just that center part, which is everyone trapped at the truck stop, that really like gets people out of it. And I would admit it probably lasts maybe 15 minutes too long. Like if it was 15 minutes shorter, it'd probably be a way better movie. But it's still great. Like honestly, I would say just anyone who would like ask if they want a recommendation, I'd say watch the first like 30 minutes, go cook a roast, come back for the last 20 minutes. Boom, movie. Got an entire movie on your hands.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think A, but they could have definitely trimmed this down.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see how faithful to the source material this is. And I know it was Stephen King doing it, so.
Yeah, actually, I haven't read this story since like, oh no, that was like 2007.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see, like, does that middle part, did he do that to have filler? Because like, would this have been a 45-minute movie?
Well,
you know what I mean?
The story is way shorter than the movie would have been. Because Night Shift has a lot of stories in it. So, like, I don't think any of them go beyond, like, 30 pages or something like that. Like, they're all very short. But I also don't think he was doing filler. I think he was trying to, like, ratchet up the tension of the situation, like, in the claustrophobia of being in one place with people and surrounded by trucks that will not let you leave. Again, like how effective it is, I don't know. Like I think it kind of loses a bit because I think you could establish that a little quicker. But again, like I still watched the movie 3 times like before we recorded and many times before that. So that's why for me it's still an A for Cult Factor. It's like, well, yeah, because obviously I have the t-shirt. I have the album unknowingly, but still do. There you go. Those are 2 things.
Noise.
So you're A as well?
Yeah, I think A is fair. That's a great.
Well,
it's a great grade.
Now that we've shown our Cult Factor grades, it's time for our final segment, which is like when you get into a truck and you drive it, it's the D roll because drive starts with D.
D roll.
Nice. I have to do a deeper one so you can do an effect on it. D-roll.
Sure, that's how effects work.
I don't know how effects work.
I don't know how any of this works.
Anyways, the D roll is our final category. That is a hat on a hat, where we just make you do another one, and it is either a cult classic, a B movie, a grindhouse, or trash, which we haven't done trash yet, and hopefully we never do.
So, I think this is pretty easy.
Yes,
Yeah, I mean, this is for sure a cult classic.
it's gotta be.
It's got to be. It's got to be.
What a moment in history this movie is.
I know. It's so good. I wish he wasn't so hard on himself about this, because it actually is a good movie. And I don't know if they're just basing it off of financial success or just critical acclaim, but I wish he would have done more directorial stuff throughout his career, because I think, he writes all the time. Like he can bang out a story. It's crazy how fast he can write a book. I think it would be interesting to see how, if he wrote a story not for a book but wrote it for like a movie, and then took that from the whole way through from start to finish, as like a director, producer, all that stuff. But
yeah, I think he took it way too hard. Like, I would like to see him try again, but now that he's getting way up in age, like it's probably unlikely.
Right.
And one of the most interesting things, I think, actually, is there was a conspiracy theory throughout the making of this movie, or like not throughout the making, but afterwards, that it was ghost directed in part by George Romero, because George Romero was often on set, and George Romero and Stephen King were very close. So a lot of people thought that, a lot of these shots look like George Romero shots. And I think it was actually the cinematographer who said, well, I saw him drink a lot. I saw him do cocaine a lot, but I don't think he ever left to get help for the cocaine, because that was the rumors. He went, like, Stephen King went and went to rehab, and George Romero had to film scenes. He's like, no, George Romero's just on set because he's his friend. I think he just took a lot from George Romero's style. It's like, I would agree completely, because I think that there are a lot of shots that are very George Romero-like. There are a lot that are not. And I think that that's to Stephen King's credit, even if he wouldn't want to acknowledge that. But it's funny that people want to attribute to George Romero instead. It's like, no. Like, go to any director on earth, have them put a horizon on the screen, and based on where they put it, you're going to say if they ripped off John Ford or not? Like, no, that's just that's just convention. So, like, the idea that they want to say that just because, like, Stephen King was borrowing from a person who he was obviously friends with doesn't mean that person was doing it for him. It just means he was learning from who he was learning from. So it seems silly to me.
Yeah. And there's a reason why Citizen Kane is like the most studied film, like all the shots are used in other movies. So it's like, I don't think
people want to borrow those techniques. Yeah.
Correct. Right. Yeah.
So, yeah. But no, I would agree with cult classic. I think that this is a rare moment of a writer and a director in the same person. And I think it's got all of the best, and in some cases, some of the worst inclinations of that writer director. Like, I think there are times where the Stephen King of it all gets to be a bit too much for the film, but I still think it's worth watching, especially if you've read any Stephen King novels, or like me, read like all of them. So
yeah, I wish we could do the Langoliers. I love that. I love that television miniseries.
So long.
It's so good though.
It is good.
I love. It's so good. Good old JC Quinn.
But you heard it. Well, you heard it here first. The D roll, Maximum Overdrive, is a cult classic. Heard it here first, folks.
No one's ever said that.
No one has ever said it. And also, my cousin Willie now has heard me say it, so he won't be mad at me.
Yeah. You've heard it here first, folks, on the only horror podcast available.
The only one that even exists.
Right.
We've definitely.
We might even be the only podcast.
It's possible we're the only two people on Earth, Shane.
Oh my god.
Everyone else is trucks.
Oh Christ.
They've transformed.
Oh, man.
Anyways, that's the end of the D-roll. Cult classic. What do we do now, Shane? What do we talk about?
Well, so what do you think we're gonna watch next time?
This is the subject of a brief debate before we began recording. And
I thought you were gonna flip it back on me to give me because I know you're setting me up, so I set you up. I thought you'd set me up again.
Do you want to be set up again, or do you
No.
You want me to be the one to say it?
You should do it.
So we were going through a bunch of movies, and Shane mentioned one that I happened to watch randomly last year. So a very recent find for me. And it is called The Video Dead. It is a zombie movie where zombies come out of your television. So watch out. A 1987 movie starring no one of note and directed by no one of note. So it should be a fun episode. You can find it on Tubi. It looks like it's on the Roku channel. I believe that it's on Amazon Prime, but it's possible you have to pay to rent it there. I thought it was there for free, but now that I think about it, I haven't seen it there since last year, so it could have changed. So yeah.
I mean, Tubi's free, so.
Yeah, I mean, Tubi is free. It's easy, but I want to give people options, Shane, even though the easiest and best option is already so free and so good.
That's fair.
But yeah, so The Video Dead next time on Dragon Ball Z.
Oh no. Copyright.
Oh no, yeah, to erase that. They don't want them to find out that they exist.
I can't. You did it. I can't get it out. Sorry.
It's in there.
They know.
Come after me, Akira Toriyama. We'll see who's the best.
Man, I wouldn't call him out.
Yeah, he's Ultra Instinct.
Yeah. Well, I think that was a great movie. Give it a shot if you haven't watched it. Do yourself a favor. Just set I think it's like an hour and a half long. Just set some time aside. It is enjoyable the entire way through. Even we did talk about the weird montage of gas pumping. It's not actually 15 minutes, but it's not as bad as I made it seem like. So definitely give it a shot. I think it's worth the watch. And honestly, most of Stephen King's film adaptations are great. So if you haven't really dipped into the Stephen King stuff, I think this is a great place to start. A lot of people will tell you I think it's a little long. I think I would try something like this first.
The miniseries or the movie?
The miniseries.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the new movies are great. You should watch those. But I meant more of the old school, TV, made for TV.
The Mick Garris, The Stand, is very good. I recommend that.
Also is very good. Yes.
Yeah. I haven't watched the more recent one, the one that came out in Paramount Plus. I tried, or is it Paramount Plus? Or is that? Yeah, it was Paramount Plus because it's CBS. I tried to watch that one and I just couldn't do it. They did a lot of timeline jumping, which I didn't care for.
Yeah.
But yeah, Stephen King's work is there's so many adaptations. If you can find the Toby Hooper Salem's Lot adaptation, I don't know if that's streaming anywhere right now, actually, but that one is actually so interesting. It's not quite like the book, but it's not unlike it either. It's a singular vision of an auteur director using the work of an auteur writer. Unfortunately, I'm showing that it's owned by CBS, but it is not. It's not out there for streaming. Yeah.
Yep.
But there's others like so much of Stephen King's work.
That movie fucked me up.
Which one?
Salem's Lot.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, some of those moments are among the scariest. And read his books. I know that it's a huge investment to ask anyone to read a book in the modern era. To ask someone to sit down and just waste hours on these things. But a lot of Stephen King's work, I think it resonates so much. The Salem's Lot book actually changed my life, because it was all about like small town, like Maine, and this idea like it's a vampire novel, but like so much about it is about more than that. And I don't know, it's just interesting. I think that he is an author, despite the fact that he churns out books like nobody's business. Like we've been like waiting like for George R.R. Martin to finish one book for like 9 years, and like Stephen King's over here like, yeah, I'm doing like 3 a year. Like,
well, that's actually a joke. So he's actually like, you know, they know each other. And George R.R. Martin's even said that he's like talked to Stephen King's like, how do you do it? Like, how do you get this stuff done? Like, so
I feel like for Stephen King, it's probably more of a compulsion. Like he can't even escape it. Like he has to put it down.
Right. But yeah, man. Well, I think we definitely gave a lot of really good recommendations this episode. Please check out Maximum Overdrive. Check Salem's Lot is probably one, like literally, like I had trouble sleeping after that, but I think my mom showed it to me. I was like 4 or 5 or something, so that's probably why. But I might have been 6. I don't know. I was way too young. But yeah, that's kind of all I had this weekend. Everything you want to bring up before we sign off here?
No. Next time we got the Video Dead coming up, so stay tuned.
Yeah, it looks great. Check out the cover. Like, so I picked a couple like suggestions for this, like the next movie, and I hadn't seen any of them, and you hadn't either. And I'm not going to say the names because we're probably going to eventually get to them. And you're like, well, you're going to have to really do a lot of the heavy lifting because, you know, I haven't seen them. I'm like, I haven't seen them either. I just look at the box art. So still living the VHS dream. So
still back in our local video store trying to figure out if this looks cool or not.
Oh, and for the new kids that are here, Video Store was a place that, yeah, we got away from that joke. It was a fun joke. I loved it, but
we'll bring it back. Or you just did.
Yeah.
You just did.
I just did. Well, I've been Shane.
And I have also been, wait, no, I've been Stefan. That's who I've been.
You're still Stefan.
Still.
And, you've been listening to The Dark Side Drive-In. Keep it spooky.
Spook 'em up.
Insert fart noise.